County, Indiana, the exit ramp to westbound 8094 on the northbound side of I-65 completely shut down. A livestock trailer has overturned there. It's a major traffic incident this morning. Again, northwest Indiana, I-65 northbound, the off-ramp to westbound 8094 shut down due to a rollover semi and livestock trailer. By the way, Lakeshore Drive this morning, DuSable Lakeshore Drive, roadway down to one lane, repaving southbound between Hollywood and Lawrence continues until 6 a.m. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunny skies, a terrific day. High today at 75. Clear tonight, low 51. And then sunny and pleasant for tomorrow and Thursday. High tomorrow afternoon, 73. Thursday's high at 72. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
50 degrees at O'Hare, 40 in Aurora, 41 in Joliet, 43 Kankakee, 58 Lakefront. Your next news update, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Protecting and growing your retirement assets can be complicated. From asset and legacy protection to retirement income and extended care, you need a plan. Mark Kohler, host of Retirement and Income Radio, heard Sundays at 11 a.m., helps retirees in or near retirement protect their accounts from market volatility. Mark can help you create lifetime guaranteed, inflation-hedged income. Call Mark today at 844-619-SAFE. That's 844-619-7233. And listen this Sunday at 11 a.m. to Retirement and Income Radio.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Hugh Hewitt weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, followed by Mike Gallagher at 9. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That 60 Minutes interview that Kamala Harris did with Bill Whitaker is a fresh reminder as to why Barack Obama was trying to find another option besides Kamala Harris to replace Biden. That was a disaster. Really, it was. It's hard to view it any other way. And anybody who's paying attention or interested in plumbing the depths of Kamala Harris will quickly find there are no depths. And it started with a tease that we talked about a bit yesterday. Her answer specifically with respect to Israel and the war in Gaza. And then that was just sort of the model for the answer to every question. And just to refresh, here's the model.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
I mean, just to
what is that?
Read that out again. The work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or as a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
Hey, she makes me feel like a Rhodes Scholar, I'll tell you that. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line. You could also text us on that same line.
This is not, going to work. This is not going to work. I mean, that's the problem is she's just not a good enough cipher to pull this off. Maybe the country has careened so far off into the wilderness that she somehow pulls a victory out here. I don't really see it, but she just is not the kind of cipher, not the quality of cipher you need to be to pull off what Barack Obama pulled off in 2008. I just don't see it. This was one after the other. This was 20 minutes of incoherent babbling on everything. And Bill Whitaker is asking God bless him, he's a hack. I mean, he's asking very straightforward, obvious questions you know you're going to get in as polite a manner as they can be asked, and she can't handle it. She can't handle it. I mean, Bill Whitaker.
What's the first time she said pushback? Or maybe not push, leave a follow-up. If you call it or classify it a gentle follow-up, that's fine. But at least he didn't let her get away with everything, like she got away with on that "Call Me Daddy," which is really a sex podcast.
Call Me Daddy.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then she's going to be on Howard Stern. Last night she was Call Her Daddy. What daddy? Whatever. And then last night she was on Stephen Colbert, and it was even worse. And then today she's going to be on Howard Stern. I mean, she's just not even punching above her weight right now. This is embarrassing.
One of the critical issues, of course, you would think, well, what does she have to say about the border? Well, this is what she had to say. And there's really not much pushback here. There's not much pushback required. Just let her talk. I mean, goes back to my point that whoever talks the most in this campaign loses.
You recently visited the southern border and embraced President Biden's recent crackdown on asylum seekers. And that crackdown produced an almost immediate and dramatic decrease in the number of border crossings. If that's the right answer now, why didn't your administration take those steps in 2021?
The first bill we proposed to Congress was to fix our broken immigration system, knowing that if you want to actually fix it, we need Congress to act. It was not taken up. Fast forward to a moment when a bipartisan group of members of the United States Senate, including one of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, got together, came up with a border security bill. Well, guess what happened? Donald Trump got word that this bill was afoot and could be passed, and he wants to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. So he told his buddies in Congress, kill the bill, don't let it move forward.
But I've been covering the border for years. And so I know this is not a problem that started with your administration.
Correct.
But there was an historic flood of undocumented immigrants coming across the border the first 3 years of your administration. As a matter of fact, arrivals quadrupled from the last year of President Trump. Was it a mistake to loosen the immigration policies as much as you did?
It's a long-standing problem, and solutions are at hand. And from day one, literally, we have been offering solutions.
What I was asking was it a mistake to kind of allow that flood to happen in the first place?
I think the policies that we have been proposing are about fixing a problem, not promoting a problem. Okay?
But the numbers did quadruple.
And the numbers today,
watch.
because of what we have done, we have cut the flow of illegal immigration by half.
But should you have done
cut
that?
the
Should you
flow
have
of
done that?
fentanyl by half. But we need Congress to be able to act to actually fix the problem.
Well, a couple of points over there, and real pushback by a real journalist would have pointed out. So you can see the fact that illegal border crossings quadrupled, and you're bragging about reducing them by half. So they went up 4x, and you've reduced them half of what? Half of the 4x increase? So it's only 2x?
Yeah, it's 2x, yeah.
Well, first of all, so I just want to get clarity on that. And secondly, that's not true. What she said is not true. In point of fact, this came out yesterday. At least 1.5 million illegal southwest border crossers reported in fiscal year 2024. And this excludes the 1.525 million foreign nationals illegally crossing the border in fiscal year 2024. Preliminary data excludes the 1.3 million inadmissibles released into the United States through the two parole programs created by Mayorkas over at DHS. More than 12 of the programs were identified as illegal by House Republicans when they impeached Mayorkas in February. Remember that? Dozens of state attorneys general have sued to stop them, arguing they violate federal law. Federal judges have also ruled they're illegal. Are they stopping? No. Also, as was pointed out by Mark Morgan, our friend and former acting Customs and Border Protection Chief, the heart of the gamesmanship is that they haven't stopped the flow of illegal migration at all, but they've rather simply diverted it from in between the ports of entry to the ports of entry themselves. The administration brags about a 60% reduction, you just heard Kamala do that, in the flow of illegal aliens in between the points of entry. What you haven't heard them mention is they've increased the flow at the ports of entry by 220%. This is a scam. And she's not even good at running the scam. And by the way, just one other thing for your friends out there that repeat the lines, your friends that are ciphers for Kamala as she tries to be a cipher for the new Bolshevik party. The first thing we did is introduce legislation, and the Republicans killed this legislation.
No, they didn't.
Well, first of all, you had control of Congress the first 2 years of this administration. Are you unfamiliar? Do you remember when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker and Chuck Schumer was Senate Majority Leader? Schumer's still there. Nancy Pelosi isn't, but that happened 2 years ago.
It's when they could have gotten things done.
So the first thing you did was to address this issue. Well, then why didn't you do it when you had
complete
the executive and the legislative? And then, of course, with respect to the legislation that was introduced, it wasn't killed by Donald Trump. It was killed by the American people who put pressure on their representatives once they heard the details in the proposal. That's how it actually went down. Joe in East Dundee, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, Dan and Amy. They tried to stop Trump every step of. They took it to the Ninth Circuit. Okay, yeah, he had to go into Pentagon funding to try to build this wall, and now this chick wants to build a wall.
Well, she didn't say
back
that.
No.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Joe.
But she has walked back on every policy that they've promoted and changed her mind. And Bill Whitaker did ask her about that. But she's uncomfortable in her own skin. You could tell the whole time she did not want to be there. She was just waiting to get out of there.
Well, also, too, tell me more about what you're going to do as president. I was only vice president. Okay, well, tell me what you're going to do as president. So these numbers, if they were at Bill Whitaker's disposal, and they could have been, what are you going to do about them? Or is anybody going to go under a Kamala Harris administration? Are these kind of numbers going to be halted? Well, if so, how are you going to do it? We're going to sideline the CBP One app? What else are we going to do? I want to hear some details. Corey, Woodlawn.
Hey, thanks for taking the call, Dan. Morning, Amy. The Article 4 of the Constitution specifically talks about the relationship between the states. It says that the executive branch owes every state in the Union protected borders, which he's supposed to protect us from invasion. In our community in Woodlawn a couple of years ago, when they came in and talked about these migrants at Apostolic Church, they specifically said that some of these migrants have no date to even see a judge. They are constantly lying to us. They say one thing in these communities with their NGOs and their non-profits. They say another thing on the television station. This is getting out of hand. We are very sick and very tired of these individuals lying to our faces. Something has to be done.
Thanks for the call, Corey. Yeah, I mean, that's the FU factor in this election. And I think there's going to be a big can of FU delivered between now and including on November 5th. We'll take more of your calls and go through more of Kamala's dizzying answers at 5:38.
And Dan, we finally get to find out what kind of gun she owns. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
5:31 on AM 560. The Answer. Hezbollah's acting leader says that even more Israelis will be displaced as the militant group extends its rocket fire deeper into Israel today. The Israeli military also says it killed a senior Hezbollah commander in a strike on Beirut. The White House says the federal government is preparing to lend as much support as it can as Hurricane Milton approaches the Florida coast. Governor Ron DeSantis says Milton is a monster.
Milton has strengthened not just into a major hurricane, but a Category 5 hurricane, and not just a Category 5 hurricane, but a very strong 175 mile per hour sustained wind Category 5 hurricane.
It's losing some strength this morning as reporter Benji Heyer has more on the potentially life-threatening storm hitting the Florida Gulf Coast.
Milton is expected to make landfall in Florida by Wednesday night, hitting major population centers including Tampa and Orlando. Florida's officials are preparing for the largest evacuation there since 2017 when Hurricane Irma slammed into the state.
More than 500,000 people in Pinellas County are being told to evacuate.
More than half the county are required to evacuate. And so at 7 p.m. tonight, all of the bridges accessing the barrier islands, and that is everything from Dunedin Causeway down to the Pinellas Bayway, will shut down.
Sheriff Bob Gualtieri. Meantime, as Hurricane Milton closes in, there's a report that FEMA doesn't have nearly enough staff to respond to it. This in the New York Times this morning. Just 9% of the agency's personnel are available to respond to the hurricane. Flooding from the remnants of Hurricane Helene has caused production to stop at one of the biggest manufacturers of IV bags in the United States. Officials at Baxter North Cove, about 30 miles from Asheville, North Carolina, say a nearby levee breach resulted in water getting into the building. They've halted production of an estimated 1.5 million IV bags a day. The American Hospital Association is calling on the Biden administration to declare a national emergency. Grammy-winning singer and mother of the late Whitney Houston, Cissy Houston, has passed away. Family made the announcement on social media overnight. Cissy was a soul and gospel artist, started her career as a backup singer for Elvis Presley, then went on to back up Aretha Franklin and Dionne Warwick, winning her own 2 Grammys before her death at the age of 91. Jury selection begins today here in Chicago in the long-awaited racketeering trial of former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan. Brandon Johnson proposing 6 controversial appointees to the Chicago Board of Education. Mayor announced the names yesterday after his entire hand-picked board resigned last Friday over his pressure tactics to fire the CPS CEO and pursue reckless borrowing to fund members of the Chicago Teachers Union and their contract. A Chicago man convicted of murder set to be freed from prison after spending more than 20 years behind bars. Cook County judge ordering Kevin Jackson to be released while he continues to fight his murder conviction. Chicago sports. Blackhawks begin their 2024-25 campaign with a game against the Utah Hockey Club. Doesn't have a name yet. Hawks haven't been to the postseason since 2020. Bulls open up preseason play when they visit Cleveland tonight. Baseball's postseason division series all knotted up at 1 game each. Kerry Carpenter's 3-run home run propelled the Tigers over the Guardians 3-0 in Cleveland, while Mikael Garcia's 4 hits led the Royals to a 4-2 win over the Yankees. Game 3 for both series shifts to Detroit and KC on Wednesday. The news is a service of Balance of Nature, fruits and vegetables in a capsule. Order online at balanceofnature.com. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35% as a preferred customer. Hurry, offer ends soon. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka talks style versus substance.
I get really angry when I have somebody who says they're conservative say, I just, his style. And I'm thinking, what? 30,000 murderers led into the country, 20 million illegals, war in the Middle East, war in Europe, and you're still going on about mean tweets.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
After decades of treasured experiences and cherished moments, you want to feel the best that you can. Whether it's cheering on your grandchildren at their baseball games, planting new flowers in your yard, or simply spending quality time with loved ones. Take Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie supplements along with you. Made from whole fruits and vegetable ingredients, they are free from added fillers or preservatives. Embrace life's adventures with confidence, knowing you're getting more variety of fruit and vegetable ingredients every step of the way. Start your journey with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Hi, Donald Trump Jr. here. I never thought I'd see price fixing as a campaign promise. What's next? Is your 401k or IRA on the left's to-do list? This is why you need to act now and protect your nest egg. I believe gold is the answer. To find out more, get a free info kit from Birch Gold by texting the word SHELTER to the number 989898. Act now to secure your financial future. Text SHELTER to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
If you recently lost health coverage due to a life change, healthcare.gov is here for you. Like it was there for Marcus when he lost his job, and Keisha when she turned 26 and lost her parents' insurance, and Elena when she went off Medicaid. There are many other ways to qualify. Visit healthcare.gov today to see if you're eligible to enroll. Limited time to enroll. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
If you're experiencing low energy, brain fog, or bloating, then your body might need a detox. Active Liver from New Nordic makes it easy to help your liver to detox your body all year long without major changes to your diet or lifestyle.
5:39 Team Hotberg Traffic Center time, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, you could save 90% on average. To get that smile back, learn more and check if you qualify. Almostfreeteeth.com. I-65, Lake County, Northwest Indiana. The northbound off-ramp from I-65 to westbound 8094 completely shut down this morning. Rollover semi, it's a livestock trailer that overturned there. I-57, accident reported inbound between 111th and 103rd. And delays on the Kennedy already inbound between Austin and Montrose. Right now at 25 minutes, O'Hare into the circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Beautiful day ahead, plenty of sunshine, high 75, clear and 51 overnight. Cool start to the morning, 50 at O'Hare, 40 in Aurora, 43 in Kankakee, and Romeoville, 39 in Lansing, 57 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy talking about that Kamala interview on 60 Minutes. That was a poor decision, but I understand. I mean, perhaps Trump was crazy like Fox and not agreeing to another debate. It sort of beats Kamala out of the brush. She has to do more of these interviews across a fragmented media landscape. And with more interviews comes more risk, particularly if you have the intellectual chops or lack thereof of one Kamala Harris.
Well, now you know why her campaign has been mostly hiding her from the public and the press, because of that interview and others. And the fact that they had her, again, go on that, call her daddy, talking to a chick in a sweatshirt. She needs to bump up her game. She needs to embrace the business community. She should go on CNBC, talk about her economic plan. But the problem is that would be political suicide. Or Fox Business News. I mean, she needs to associate to the business owners, to other people besides podcasters who, call her daddy.
Well,
good Lord. Or Howard Stern today.
Well, the Stern audience is 3/4 male. Colbert is allegedly popular with young men, which is a sad commentary on young men in America, if that's true. The Call Her Daddy podcast, I guess, is relatively popular, and especially with young women, unsurprisingly.
Because they talk about sex. The last episode, 1 hour and 13 minutes about something about a sexual act.
Although it's not that podcast, the Call Her Daddy was supposed to be so popular with young women, has not gotten a lot of downloads from initially, from what I read. Anyway, I mean, this is what she has to do to get at whatever her message is out exactly. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that she's sure. There was no, I mean, to say there was no unifying thread to her answers is sort of past the point, because there was no coherence with any of her answers. So how could you have a unifying thread? You couldn't even put together an intelligent response to just about anything. I mean, this was Bill Whitaker talking to her about paying for her Kamalanomics plan, and I don't know. Maybe some people shake their heads while they listen to this. Watch this. I don't know, but it's inane.
Plan is about saying that when you invest in small businesses, you invest in the middle class, and you strengthen America's economy. Small businesses are part of the backbone of America's economy.
But pardon me, Madam Vice President, the question was, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, one of the things is I'm going to make sure that the richest among us who can afford it pay their fair share in taxes. It is not right that teachers and nurses and firefighters are paying a higher tax rate than billionaires and the biggest corporations. And I plan on making that fair.
But we're dealing with the real world here.
But the real world includes...
How are you going to get this through Congress?
You know, when you talk quietly with a lot of folks in Congress, they know exactly what I'm talking about, because their constituents know exactly what I'm talking about. Their constituents are those firefighters and teachers and nurses.
Nobody knows what you're talking about. This is, first of all, it's not new. Secondly, you're a terrible salesman for this line of class envy politics, this tired line of class envy politics, and the specious claims about billionaires paying less than, this is the Warren Buffett secretary pays less in taxes than Warren Buffett. I mean, it's reductio ad absurdum from the new Bolshevik party. I mean, but of course, again, Whitaker, it's always the art of the possible rather than attacking the substance of what she's actually saying or the lack thereof. This was, it would have been interesting. I'd love to interview one of these ciphers someday. Maybe someday they'll make a mistake and agree to do our show. The headline conclusion from a working paper published by the National Bureau for Economic Research.
Uh-huh.
Get ready for this. The more you work over your lifetime, the more you earn.
Wow. If you've learned one thing today, folks, you've learned that.
The authors from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, as well as Vanderbilt University, congratulations on your big upset of Bama, and Princeton, track individual data back to 1979. They find that a major determinant of total lifetime hours worked is individual choice, and some people just prefer to work more, while others may prioritize other activities. Those who do work more earn more because they accumulate more skills during the extra time they work. Wow. So the unfairness of that is what? I should get the same benefits of somebody who desires to work more and does because I should? I love those tautologies of ciphers like Kamala. Jeff, Northwest Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. Yeah, just going to dovetail off of the previous caller, Corey's comments about lies, campaign of lies. Well, it is. And because I watch a lot of streaming and there's always ads on there. and she's blaming inflation on corporate greed. We're going to put pressure on the landlords because they're overcharging. We're going to put pressure on the grocery store owners because they're charging too much for groceries. They're charging too much for rent and mortgage. And well, wait a minute. Are people that dumb to believe that? I mean, apparently,
Well, it's not. I mean, she can say what she wants.
Some of
Nothing's
them
going
are.
to happen.
Thanks for the call, Jeff.
And even what she's saying is stupid.
Speaking of campaign of lies, the predicate lie for all of this was her running interference for the big guy. That was brought up in terms of how that handoff went, and perhaps it left a bad taste in some people's mouths.
Was democracy best served by President Biden stepping down and basically handing you a nomination? You didn't have to go through a primary process. You didn't have to fight off other contenders. That's not really the way our system was intended to work.
President Biden made a decision that I think history is going to show is rare among leaders, which was to put country before self. And I am proud to have earned the support of the vast majority of delegates and to have been elected the Democratic nominee to fight in this election over the next month for our democracy.
But I think this truncated process is why people think or say they don't really know who you are.
Look, I've been in this race for 70 days.
Wow. 70 days. Woo.
Yeah.
That's such a lie because everybody knows if they ever have any firing synapse between their ears that he was pushed out. That he got a visit from Chuck Schumer that day at his home in Delaware, and Nancy Pelosi was involved. I mean, come on.
Well, the more interesting question from Bill Whitaker would have been, did you sign on to a 25th Amendment action against President Biden if he didn't go willingly? Well, nobody wants to ask that question. Of course not, because Bill Whitaker is not really a journalist. You have to keep up appearances that this is on the level, and so he asked these questions, but he doesn't go too deep. He doesn't press too much. How about as I said, the predicate lie? She interviewed with Bill Whitaker last year, and she was, laughing off and dismissing the idea of a Biden replacement, and certainly laughing off and dismissing any concerns that donors and others had about her as the woman waiting in the wings. You were running interference for Biden the whole time. So when did you realize, again, get her pinned down to this, when did you realize that it would be better if he stepped down, or did you ever come to that conclusion? Do you regret that he stepped down? What is the answer? Give us what you thought and what came to be the prevailing opinion about Biden's capacity to be the nominee in this race. I mean, she has gotten a total pass for her role, both in lying to the American public for as long as she did, as well as her involvement in whatever skullduggery was afoot to get Biden out and put her in. People don't really know who you are, because you don't do interviews, because you're all over the place.
Let me tell you what your critics and the columnists say.
Okay.
They say that the reason so many voters don't know you is that you have changed your position on so many things. You were against fracking, now you're for it. You supported looser immigration policies, now you're tightening them up. You were for Medicare for all, now you're not. So many that people don't truly know what you believe or what you stand for. And I know you've heard that.
In the last 4 years, I have been Vice President of the United States. And I have been traveling our country. And I have been listening to folks and seeking what is possible in terms of common ground. I believe in building consensus. We are a diverse people, geographically, regionally, in terms of where we are in our backgrounds. And what the American people do want is that we have leaders who can build consensus. where we can figure out compromise and understand it's not a bad thing, as long as you don't compromise your values, to find common sense solutions. And that has been my approach.
Exactly. There's nothing that speaks to being a common sense consensus builders than just doing 180s all over the place on every issue, depending on the sort of politics of the moment, your politics, your political interests of the moment. Yeah, it really speaks to consensus building, hashing things out to come to reasonable compromises to move the country forward, and all those other bromides you're so used to hearing from politicians.
Declarative statements. I mean, she is a fraud, and she will say anything to get elected.
I'll tell you, here's the good news, though. A good piece by Byron Yorick over at Washington Examiner. The good news is that the stuff she promises, it doesn't happen. So if you're worried about what she's committing to, there's not much follow-through. Unsurprisingly, because she's a cipher. This is somebody who governs by press release, like the model that the Democrats use, Barack Obama. Two examples he gives. These are great examples. One you've heard us talk about before. Two examples. $42 billion promise to make high-speed internet available nationwide. That was part of the quote-unquote infrastructure bill.
Okay.
Backdoor Green New Deal. $7.5 billion to build electric vehicle charging stations around the country.
And what, they built 4 of them or something?
Yeah, Peabut was pressed on that last time he was on Meet the Press, but it's going very well. The $42 billion to make high-speed internet available around the country, the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program. You remember it.
Love that place.
It's accomplished nothing.
Nothing?
Zero.
It hasn't helped one low-income family.
It has not connected one person to the internet.
Oh.
Not a single person.
All right.
$42 billion, and 3 years later, nada. It funds. I'm sure it funds a bureaucracy at the Department of Agriculture or some such place, but that's it. The $7.5 billion for the EV charging stations.
Yeah. What do we got? Maybe 5 stations now.
Again, provision of the 21 bill, $7.5 billion for 5,000 electric vehicle charging stations, which would include about 20,000 individual chargers.
Okay. Well, who gets those?
So far, again, 5,000 stations, 20,000 chargers, $7.5 billion 3 years ago. This is supposed to be done by 2025. There you have, they have deployed 7 charging stations.
Oh, see, I was wrong. 7.
7. 3 years, $7.5 billion. The goal is 5,000 stations, 20,000 chargers. They have 7 new charging stations in the entire country. So, I mean, big promises and big money allocated. And, the good news is, because a lot of these gambits are wasteful and counterproductive. The good news is that a lot of it doesn't happen. The bad news is some of it does. Anyway, Dave and Gurnee.
Yes, there was that simple common sense point about when you work and you make money, you save money and you become successful. Simply put, what she wants to do is take from the people who have come before the people that are around now who have done that. She wants to take their success and give it to the people who are too lazy to go out and actually work and do the same thing that they have the opportunity to do in this country. So that's where the devil comes into this whole thing. Give somebody something for doing nothing.
Thanks for the call, Dave. Yeah, there's a guy named Carl who came up with a certain phrase, from each according to their means, to each according to their needs. That seems to be the modus operandi of Kamala and the New Bolshevik Party, if you've noticed. Mike in Littleton, Colorado.
Good morning, and thank you for taking my call. It seems to me that, just to boil this whole thing down, it might be incriminating against both parties, but instead of talking about percentage rates of who pays what, because that's an easy one for them to pull on people's emotions, boil it down to if you took every dime of everybody that was worth more than whatever, $100 million and up, and put it in a pot, and then you took the burn rate of this government, how long would it last after you destroyed all that wealth through confiscation?
About 90 days.
Right? Right,
Yeah.
there you go. And that becomes then a proposition that over any dinner party, even with an idiot, they would have to concede, will it only last 90 days? Oh, well, what will we do then? Right, exactly. You tell me. So, I think that we need to really be forceful in making those arguments. And just one last thing, I always kind of wondered, do we have politicians who were politicians that became criminal, or do we have criminals who became politicians? Maybe you can help me answer that.
Yeah, I think
Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Mike. It runs in both directions. I'd also recommend not doing dinner parties with idiots. George in Naperville.
Yeah, doing well, forgetting the most important thing, the joy that Kamala exudes to the world.
Yeah, there's no joy there. There was
thanks,
no
George.
joy last night. It was just a very
She
tense
does-
situation watching her.
She does try to smile and cackle her way through things, though, like talking about guns.
A hard left turn here, but you recently surprised people when you said that you are a gun owner. And then if someone came into your
That was
house,
not the first time I've
They would get
talked about it. That's not the first time I've talked about it.
so what kind of gun do you own, and when and why did you get it?
I have a Glock, and I've had it for quite some time. And I mean, look, Bill, my background is in law enforcement, and so there you go.
Have you ever fired it?
Yes, of course I have. At a shooting range. Yes, of course I have.
Doug a few times.
What's
when?
I mean, she has been asked about that before by Politico in 2015, and here's how she handled it 10 years ago.
Okay.
Real quick, Cora, have you shot a gun?
Yes, I have.
Well, tell us about the last time.
No.
No, but do you like hunt or like what do you do?
I'm a good marksman. Yes, I have shot a gun many times.
You're a good marksperson with a pistol or a rifle?
A pistol. And I'm not, that's it. I'm not going any further with this.
Concealed weapon permit or...
I'm not going any further with this.
What is so hysterical about this? It's bizarre. It's a
clown.
It's a nervous thing when she knows she's lying.
It's 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
It's another day to get ready or leave. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Along Florida's west coast as Hurricane Milton bears down.
This is a powerful storm.
St. Petersburg Mayor Ken Welch, as many people from the Tampa area down to Fort Myers board up and stock up. Many grocery store shelves are empty. Others moving away from the coast before Milton hits tomorrow or Thursday.
The most important thing at this point is to save lives. And we can do that by moving to a safe place and shelter if you are ordered to evacuate.
Milton has weakened a bit, just under Category 5 status now with 155-mile-an-hour winds. But Fox meteorologist Janice Dean says don't focus on that.
Even if it's a 3, it's still going to carry the same amount of storm surge. And again, that's that wall of water that will not be survivable if it is 10 to 15 feet above sea level.
That's higher than Hurricane Helene's surge. That storm did a lot more devastation as it moved up into North Carolina, causing flooding and more than 230 deaths. There's also some political drama as the Biden administration responds to Hurricane Helene and preps for Milton. Vice President Harris reached out to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who didn't take the call or reply.
These are the height of emergency situations. It's just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish.
Governor DeSantis responded, telling Fox's Hannity the vice president's never gotten involved in past storm response in Florida.
Why is she putting her campaign ahead of the well-being of the people of Florida? We're laser focused on their well-being.
The day after commemorations marking 1 year since the Hamas terror attack that triggered the war in Gaza, we learn Israel has killed 3 Hamas commanders in Gaza. And Fox's Nate Foy reports from Tel Aviv.
Hezbollah, as we speak, is in the middle of carrying out its largest rocket attack on Haifa throughout the entire war, launching over 100 rockets within the past hour. And Israel is responding with airstrikes in southern Lebanon.
And a strike has killed another Hezbollah commander there. America's listening to Fox News.
50 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 2 men were shot and killed by a restaurant employee overnight in the Wrightwood neighborhood on the south side. Chicago police say their investigation began late Monday night inside a JJ's Fish in the 7800 block of Southwestern Avenue. 2 victims, 55 and 56, began arguing with a male employee who then took out a handgun and fired shots. A 7-year-old child and a man are seriously wounded following a shooting on Chicago's far south side. Police say the 7-year-old is clinging to life after bullets were fired inside a home last night near 116th in Yale. Actually, those bullets were fired from just outside the home. Child was shot in the back and grazed in the head. The man suffered multiple gunshot wounds. Both are in very critical condition. No arrests have been made. Jury selection begins today in the long-awaited racketeering trial of former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan. U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois, John Lausch, announced the federal jury indictment of Madigan in March of 2022.
The indictment accuses Madigan of leading, for nearly a decade, a criminal enterprise whose purpose was to enhance Madigan's political power and financial well-being while also generating income for his political allies and associates.
Madigan and longtime confidant Michael McLean face charges accusing them of conspiring to participate in an array of bribery and extortion schemes. The 82-year-old, the longest-serving House Speaker in U.S. history before being forced to resign in 2021. Mayor Brandon Johnson proposing 6 controversial appointees to the Chicago Board of Education. Mayor announcing the names yesterday after his entire hand-picked board resigned last Friday over his pressure tactics to fire the CPS CEO and pursue borrowing to fund the CTU contract. Candidates are Olga Bautista, Matilda Blaze, Mary Gardner, the Reverend Mitchell Ikenna Johnson, Deborah Pope, and Frank Niles Thomas. Bautista's first order, she says, is demanding more money from taxpayers.
You know, there's a lot of attention on this transition of this board right now, but I have to ask, where is the outrage about what's at stake if we don't fully fund our schools?
Later, aldermen and women flanked by parents push back against the mayor. Nicole Lee says she's shocked by the mayor's actions.
We deserve more responsible leadership. I'm absolutely opposed to the $300 million payday loan scheme that's been suggested.
There will be more discussions at City Hall today over the mayor's choices. Chicago sports. Blackhawks begin their 2024-25 campaign with a game against the Utah Hockey Club. Hawks had last season had their worst record since the Eisenhower administration. Bulls open up preseason play when they visit the Cleveland Cavaliers. Later on tonight, the Bears will not take Jaquan Brisker with them when they travel to London to take on Jacksonville this Sunday. He has a concussion. The news, a service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes, ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago, Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Best Dental Group of Bartlett, the Michael Alfaro Radio Show, Woodland Windows and Doors, and by Quick Delivery Service.
Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combines heritage and innovation in every cup. Our coffee is locally roasted, hot air roasted, and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Whether you prefer a 12-ounce bag or a 28-ounce bag, or even the convenience of K-Cups, you'll find Papa Nicholas Coffee at your local retailer. Taste the difference that 5 generations of expertise brings. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee, because great coffee is our family tradition. Visit online at papanicholas.com. That's papanicholas.com.
The socialists who want to move into the White House have a lot of plans for your money. One of them is to control the price of food, and this is just the start. Could 401ks and IRAs be next on their agenda? It might sound far-fetched, but so did price fixing just months ago. Hi, Donald Trump Jr. here. If you've spent decades building your nest egg, you can act now to stop your savings from falling into the hands of the socialists. It's why Americans are turning to gold, the ultimate safe haven in uncertain times. To see how easy it is to diversify your retirement with gold, get a free info kit from my friends at Birch Gold by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. Birch Gold makes it easy to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait any longer. Protect your financial future now. Text PROTECT to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold, the only gold company I trust.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
I think one of the things that patients don't realize is that when they get a joint replacement, that's not a lifetime treatment option. And they're probably, if they are a younger patient, signing up for multiple surgeries down the road.
As a physician and medical director for QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli's seen a pattern of trending joint pain. Prolonged medication, steroids, then surgery, possibly another surgery.
So a lot of our patients are trying to avoid or put off surgery, and this is the treatment that can help them do that.
QC Kinetics extracts your body's healing substances, concentrates them back into your aching joints to help heal and restore those areas, providing lasting relief.
Oh, I love being able to tell my patients, before we do this surgery, let's try another option. Let's see if this is right for you, because now they might not have to have surgery at all.
Call today for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of Woodland Windows and Doors. For over 52 years, Woodland has been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, featuring styles ranging from modern to traditional. Visit woodlandwindows.com to get started today. Bensonville, report of an accident, Route 83 and Grove, I-65, Northwest Indiana. Your northbound off-ramp from 65 to westbound 8094 completely shut down due to a rollover semi with a livestock trailer that has overturned. Dan Ryan, outbound accident right at 18th. You're backed up to Roosevelt. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Plenty of sunshine, a beautiful day. High today at 75, clear tonight, low 51, and then sunshine pleasant for tomorrow and Thursday. High tomorrow 73, Thursday's high at 72. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
50 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. You heard it at the news at the top of the hour. Kamala trying to misdirect attention away from the regime's response to the devastation caused by Helene, with likely more devastation coming in the next 24 hours in the west coast of Florida. Trying to deflect attention away by complaining about Ron DeSantis not taking her call.
President, Governor DeSantis, NBC is reporting Governor DeSantis is ignoring your calls on hurricanes, resources, and help. How does that hurt the situation here?
Moments of crisis, if nothing else, should really be the moment that anyone who calls themselves a leader says they're going to put politics aside and put the people first. People are in desperate need of support right now, and playing political games with this moment in these crisis situations, these are the height of emergency situations, is just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish, and it is about political gamesmanship instead of doing the job that you took an oath to do, which is to put the people first.
Well, wait, are you the hurricane czar now?
Oh,
why does Ron DeSantis have to talk to you? You're not the president of the United States.
No. And last we heard, there's only 9% of FEMA staff available to even help out for Milton. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment. Governor DeSantis doesn't need them right now.
Well, doesn't need
He's
Kamala.
got a plan.
He doesn't need Kamala Harris, right? I mean, yeah, he's running his own program, which is what he should be doing, and he's out ahead of it as he normally is. But I mean, of course, she is the one playing political games because she's trying to insinuate herself into this situation. Hey, look, if I got an issue, I go to the president of the United States. Are you the president? No. The president is the one coordinating with FEMA, isn't he? Remember Joe?
Wait, that guy? Yeah.
I love the tell there on multiple levels. And not just personnel, but cash. They're starting to come apart at the seams a little bit. KJP and Peter Ducey had a back and forth on aid for the victims of Hurricane Helene, where this is fun. It's very Kamala-esque, where KJP accused Ducey of spreading misinformation when he was reading from a statement that was issued by the White House.
Yep, that's how they do it, Dan.
President Biden is fond of saying, show me your budget and I will tell you what you value. If he's got money for people in Lebanon right now, without Congress having to come back, what does it say about his values? There's not enough money right now for people in North Carolina who need it. That's not misinformation.
Wait, no, that is your whole premise of the question is misinformation, sir. What you do? Yes, it's misinformation.
Is there money to send to Lebanon right now?
I just mentioned to you that we provided more than $200 million to folks who are impacted in the area, and I just shared with you that people are deciding not to. People are deciding not to.
Letter to Congress that there's not enough money to help people
We're
in North
talking
Carolina.
about the SBA disaster loan.
That's
yes.
money for people in North Carolina.
And that's important, and people in North Carolina need that. Wait, this is nothing new. Peter, this is nothing new. Congress comes together, they provide money, millions of dollars, for disaster relief. We're asking them to do the job that they have been doing for some time.
From a letter that President Biden sent to Johnson, McConnell, Schumer, and Jeffries. The president's letter is not misinformation. Would you agree?
No, the way you're asking me the question is misinformation. There is money that we are allocating to the impacted areas, and there's money there to help people who truly need it. There are survivors who need the funding, and it's there.
That you don't like misinformation.
I actually said we have the money available to help survivors of Hurricane Helene and also Hurricane Milton. Now there's going to be a shortfall, right? Because we don't know how bad Hurricane Milton is going to be. And so we're going to need additional funding. That's
exactly what I just asked about.
No. What you're asking me is why Congress needs to come back and do their job. That's what you're asking me. Congress needs to come back and do their job and provide extra assistance, extra funding to disaster relief fund. That's what Congress needs to do, and we're going to continue to urge that. You may not want that, but that's okay. That's what this president wants, and that's what the vice president wants. Thanks, everybody.
Well, they didn't need congressional approval to send $175 million to Lebanon.
157. But
but I'm just saying.
But wait, I'm unclear. Do you have the money or you don't have the money? Because she said both.
And at the end, she said they had money, Dan, not only for Helene but for Milton.
But then
at the beginning, she said they
then
didn't.
after that, she said they need the Congress to come back and do its job because they need money.
Like a ping pong, whack-a-mole.
Mayorkas said they need money. The Biden administration, which I thought she was a part of, maybe she's like Kamala, she's not a part of the administration anymore. I thought she was a part of it, but they've said that they need money. She said they need money before she said they didn't need money, and then she said they do need money. No, it inspires a lot of confidence. This is going very well. They're trying to, of course, fact check, debunk, favorite words out of the D.C. press corps when they're propagandizing. Something else, too, not just with respect to the aid for Helene victims, but also the amount of money that FEMA has spent on things like the resettlement of people in this country illegally. That was something that Tom Cotton sparred with that Welker chick on Meet the Press about over the weekend.
My broader question to you, I think, is about this misinformation. Do you think this is a time to put falsehoods aside, like the idea that FEMA funds are being redirected to migrants, which is just not true?
Well, it is true that FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security have been spending billions of dollars on migrants. Now, I understand some people say they're separate funds, but we just passed a short-term spending bill. It's very common for the administration to come and ask for permission to move money between funds, especially to prepare for emergencies. And second, I would note that this administration seems to have no problem finding money when they want to spend it on their priorities. When they need hundreds of billions of dollars to pay off student loans for graduate students in gender studies programs, they somehow find it. When it's trying to get helicopters to deliver food and water and cellular service and life-saving medicine into these mountain valleys, they somehow can't seem to find the money.
Yeah, it is a curious thing. Something else curious about that, it's not just on money spent on the resettlement and making people who've come to this country illegally comfortable. FEMA's Disaster Relief Fund, the monthly report, that's what they were just talking about. $4 billion was spent on COVID-19 aid in September.
What?
In September
of 2024?
Last month, September.
I thought COVID was over.
$4 billion, the most spend out of the FEMA Disaster Relief Fund on COVID since October of last year.
Why? What is that money possibly going to?
I mean, is that paying Travis Kelce for those get your jab ads or what? So the focus here. Oh, and it's not being. Well, Kristen, where does the money come from? You know, it turns out Tom Cotton was being generous when he said they routinely come to Congress and seek approval to move money from one account to the other. Right. To the extent they come to Congress to do that. Money's fungible. So $4 billion from this fund at FEMA for COVID and $1.5 billion over the last 2 fiscal years for migrants, whatever that constituted. Housing and rent payments and whatever, utility bills and all of the goodies.
And it's such a slap in the face. I mean, Kamala Harris, like each North Carolinian and Tennesseans, you'll get $750. What the heck is that going to get you when you don't have your phone, your car, your house, clothes?
Josh in Braidwood.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. How are you?
Good.
Hey, I have a question. I'm just curious what you guys think, and not a lot of people are talking about it, but why is FEMA and some first responders in North Carolina and other states stopping citizens from helping citizens in need in the hurricane-stricken areas? Like, nobody's really talking about it, but you can find little reports kind of peppered around everywhere. I'm just wondering what you guys think.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Josh. We have talked about it. I mean, part of this was from accounts from people who've previously worked in disaster relief, natural disasters. One of the issues is FEMA stopping provisions of, food and other items if those provisions are not coming from people who are on the preferred vendor list of the federal government.
Right.
There's all the, this is there's money to be made here in disaster relief, I'm sorry to say, and that's fine as long as it's done in a sensible way so that people get what they need as quickly as humanly possible. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about like somebody volunteers and they're first to the scene and they have provisions for people. No, we can't accept those provisions because they're not from a preferred vendor.
And I got to
so that's one issue.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Go on with the other issue.
Well, the other, I mean, to some extent, FEMA takes control. We have control of this scene, and so nothing happens without our approval. We've heard from people trying to, the father-son helicopter pilot team. We brought you that story yesterday, or maybe it was Friday, where they were stopped by a local fire department official from rescuing people up in the mountains in North Carolina. And the guy almost was forced under threat of arrest to leave his son on the top of the mountain with this guy who they were going to rescue after having rescued this guy's wife. I mean, it's really, so it's a little bit, you have people wanting to I'm in charge, and then nobody does anything without my approval. Now, some things like we saw I saw in St. Pete's in Florida, they were blocking locals from getting into particular neighborhoods because they were unsafe, and so they were trying to escort people in and out, and they just to try to make sure that people didn't get hurt or whatever, just to have some sort of some sort of process where there was some rhyme to the reason. And so I understand a little bit of that, but some of the other things we've seen about not allowing private actors who know what they're doing, who have provisions, who are getting to people that the federal government isn't otherwise getting to, certainly not with the same alacrity, then there is no defense to it.
Well,
I think it's just, sort of politics and fiefdoms.
Right. When lives are on the line, you should let them in. But after a storm like Utica tornado, remember that 8 people died? FEMA was there right away, local police, and they roped off the area, and you had to show your ID to get into that area because they didn't want any looting. And for instance, what happened in Tennessee following, Hurricane Helene last Saturday. 8 men, illegals, were captured by authorities because they were looting properties, walking into homes that were abandoned, and taking whatever the hell they wanted.
Yeah, so there's some of that. I mean, like I said, there's some rhyme to the reason in certain circumstances, but some of the stories that have come out of the response are not defensible.
Yeah, and especially people's lives. I mean, there's still people missing, 227 dead, and that's when you have to let your neighbors help neighbors.
Tom and Oswego.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I keep listening to Kamala Harris and KJP. When all their excuses are exhausted, they always fall back, and it's Congress's fault. I guess because Congress is now, Republican? So we'll blame them. This is getting tiring. One thing that hurricane has exposed is the total inept efficiency of our government. They cannot do anything or fix anything, and yet people are looking to them to run their lives. This is really disappointing and scary, and I have friends who are voting for Kamala Harris. I don't understand why. They're not stupid people, very smart. Some are lawyers. Some are. I don't understand it. So thanks, guys.
Thanks for the call, Tom. Yeah, these are the same people that were the architects of the Afghan withdrawal. Don't forget. And that's supposed.
How did that go?
That's supposed to be our best and brightest. That's our military.
Horrible.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen up. I'm talking to those of you who wake up day after day with joint pain in your knees, maybe your shoulder, ouch, maybe your hips. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and let's talk about real, lasting relief. People here in Chicago are reducing the inflammation, getting mobility back, getting their lives back. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cellular therapies. What's that? QC Kinetics uses your own body's healing properties in those achy joints. Cutting-edge treatments that require no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. The choice is yours. You could continue with the steroids and daily medications, pursue surgery and a long recovery, or you could see if you're a candidate for regenerative treatments. Find out with your free consultation at QC Kinetics. New locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Saturday appointments available. You've got nothing to lose. Do it. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. All right, if you've been in business for a number of years, it's likely your company has grown in every department. You've added your sales team, increased your client base, and now have multiple locations. But there's one area that could stop your growth right in its tracks if not protected, and that's your network's data. As you've grown, you've likely evolved your basic network over time, putting your company at risk to cyber attacks, ones that can fold up your business in just hours. And it's not just your server that you need to worry about. Oh, no, it's the full infrastructure of your business. Think about your precious customer data, your employees' devices, smartphones, and all of your technology. Every day more than 30,000 websites are hacked, and 2/3 of companies globally have experienced at least one type of cyber attack. Don't be a statistic. Defend your business and get the conversation started today by contacting Turnkey's real-time threat hunting protection. Turnkey has a solution to protect your business, so start that convo today. Visit turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro. signaturebank.pro.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Keene Jr. of the Mailhouse Inc., a family-owned and operated digital print mailhouse with a specialty in political advertising and a customer of Signature Bank. We knew that getting a loan to buy our business wouldn't be easy, so we turned to one of our trusted friends for a referral. She told us about the outstanding level of customer service her business received at Signature Bank since becoming one of their first customers in 2006. Today, we couldn't be happier. Not only did Signature help us finance the purchase of the mailhouse, but they supported our growth as we modernized our operations in mailing as well as from traditional to digital printing. If you're looking for a great bank to grow your business, take a look at Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Dan Proft here for Northridge Prep. Northridge Prep, it's a great place to be a boy. What does that mean exactly? In short, it's thanks to a foundation of an all-boys environment that builds your son up into a man of intellect and character who loves God. The teachers and faculty members become mentors to students, and when you combine that with an atmosphere that's fun, competitive, and challenging, it creates an exceptional experience for your son. The result is the boys just love Northridge Prep. They've been educating boys for nearly 50 years, and one of the things that stands out is their commitment to partnering with parents. You hear this a lot with schools, but at Northridge, the parents can't stop talking about it because it's real, and they built a community that really works well together. Raising kids is difficult these days. At Northridge, you can be confident your son is on the right path. They're having an open house on Sunday, October 20th, for boys in grades 6 through 12. So if you're interested on behalf of your son in grades 6 through 12, you can register today at northridgeprep.org. Again, the open house is Sunday, October 20th. And you can register for that open house at northridgeprep.org.
After decades of treasured experiences and cherished moments, you want to feel the best that you can. Whether it's cheering on your grandchildren at their baseball games, planting new flowers in your yard, or simply spending quality time with loved ones. Take Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements along with you. Made from whole fruits and vegetable ingredients, they are free from added fillers or preservatives. Embrace life's adventures with confidence, knowing you're getting more variety of fruit and vegetable ingredients every step of the way. Start your journey with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, we're going to talk to the possible pickup opportunity. A candidate who's a possible pickup opportunity in the House. Northwest Indiana, Randy Niemeyer, running against incumbent Frank Mervan, Lake County, Indiana. It's been Democrat for 100 years, but it almost went the other way 2 years ago. Can Randy Niemeyer get over the top on Mervan? We'll discuss his race with him at 6:36.
And later, does Mayor Johnson have a problem with female reporters? But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
6:31 on AM 560. The Answer. The White House says the federal government is preparing to lend support as Hurricane Milton approaches the Florida coast. Pinellas County Sheriff Bob Galtieri says time is quickly running out for everyone on the barrier islands to get out.
At 7 p.m. tomorrow night, all access for everyone will shut down to the barrier islands. It doesn't matter if you're a resident, a business owner, or what you are. We want to see 0 people on the barrier islands by 7 p.m. tomorrow night.
Governor Ron DeSantis says Florida's west coast is in the bullseye.
All folks on the west coast of the Florida Peninsula should be prepared for potential major impacts.
This morning, Republicans are critical of Vice President Harris and the rest of the Biden administration for a slow response to the disaster. North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis.
I take a personal offense to this. I see what she's trying to do with DeSantis, but I also see her use my words in a way that was purely for political purposes. There is no excuse for that sort of behavior right now. We need to get help in North Carolina and get it there soon.
Vice President Harris tried to place blame on former President Trump for spreading misinformation surrounding the federal response. On the campaign trail, Harris will appear on ABC's The View and sit down with late-night Gabfest. Stephen Colbert on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Vice President Harris also spent yesterday defending the Biden administration border policy on 60 Minutes.
We have cut the flow of illegal immigration by half.
We have
cut
that?
the
Should
flow
you have
of
done that?
fentanyl by half, but we need Congress to be able to act to actually fix the problem.
Former President Trump marking the one-year anniversary since the Hamas terror attacks on Israel at a meeting with Orthodox Jews at a memorial.
October 7th was not just the deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust. It was not just the worst terror attack since 9/11. It was an attack on humanity itself.
Elon Musk also says today he plans to make more appearances in Pennsylvania to boost the Trump campaign. With under a month left before Election Day, early voting is kicking off today in 4 states. Voters can now make their choices known in Ohio, New Mexico, Indiana, and Wyoming. 2 men were shot and killed by restaurant employee in the Wrightwood neighborhood on the south side late Monday night. Chicago police tell us the shooting took place around 10:30 inside a JJ's Fish in the 7800 block of Southwestern. A 7-year-old child clinging to life, a man critically wounded. It all follows the shooting on the far south side near 116th and Yale, when someone inside a white sedan on the street fired shots. Child was hit in the back, while the man suffered multiple gunshot wounds. No arrests have been made. Jury selection begins today in the long-awaited racketeering trial of former Illinois House Speaker, Democrat Michael Madigan. Chicago sports. Blackhawks begin the regular NHL campaign against the Utah Hockey Club on the road. Bulls open up preseason play when they visit the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight. Baseball yesterday, Tigers over the Guardians 3-0 to even their ALDS at 1 game each. Royals over the Yankees 4-2. Game 3 for both series now shifts to Detroit and KC on Wednesday. The news service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of that smile back? Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees chaos hurting Harris.
Israeli military says Iran has fired missiles at Israel. This is not politically good for Kamala Harris.
Not at all.
I mean, and so you have dock worker chaos and then potential regional Middle East war. This plays into Donald Trump's benefit. Understand that the Biden-Harris regime has indirectly subsidized both sides.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you back on the golf course. You must be feeling better, huh?
Yeah, I finally got my blood pressure under control without all the medication side effects.
Wow. New doctor?
No, a superfood juice, believe it or not.
A juice?
Yeah, it's called 120 Life. It's got ingredients like pomegranates, tart cherries, 6 natural ingredients that have shown to control blood pressure.
Huh.
Yeah, it tastes great and has worked wonders.
Awesome. Are you getting a golf cart?
Nope. I'm walking the course today.
Wow. You got any of that 120 Life on you?
Try 120 Life risk-free and get a 2-week trial pack. Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout to save 15% and get free shipping.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Is thinning hair or a receding hairline making you self-conscious? Try Hair Grow from New Nordic. Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start feeling your best with Hair Grow.
6:30, 18 Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Lowe's. MVP Pro Rewards members can get a volume discount on eligible orders as low as $1,500. A discount on eligible product only and reflected in, quote, restrictions apply. See the Pro Desk for details. MVP's Pro Rewards program is subject to terms. 30 on the inbound Edens from Lake Cook Road to the junction. It's an hour 10 on the inbound Kennedy from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike heavy through the avenues. 52 into the old post office. Stop and go traffic on the outbound side of the Ike between Central and Des Plaines Avenue. Dan Ryan, stop and go inbound between Garfield and the Burns Circle in the locals. 30 minutes in from 95th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. It's a beautiful day ahead. Plenty of sunshine. High of 75. Clear and 51 overnight. Plenty of sunshine, 72 tomorrow. Partly cloudy and 51 right now. Next, news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. This is a swing district that Chicagoans can pay attention to, and obviously in our listening audience, Northwest Indiana residents should pay particular attention to. It's, in a competitive House race and a possible pickup opportunity for House Republicans. And oh, by the way, there's more than the presidential race, and these high-profile Senate seats. There's also these seats like Indiana 1, where perhaps control of the House, I should say, hangs in the balance. The candidate running to unseat Frank Mervan and reverse, I think, about a century of uninterrupted Democrat lordship in Lake County, Indiana, is Randy Niemeyer, who I met at an event a couple years ago. Interesting guy, trucker. So, boy, he's got some relevant expertise, not just with respect to supply chains, but with respect to potentially what we've been talking about the last week is trying to get things to people in need after natural disasters. Randy Niemeyer running for Congress, again, Indiana 1, NiemeyerForCongress.com is the website. Randy, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan and Amy, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
So we talked. We were just talking off air about this. So Jennifer Ruth Green ran 2 years ago, and she was an attractive candidate and ran a pretty good race and came close. They came within 4 points. I don't know that it's been that close in that district in some time. So it seems like it's trending in a red direction. How do you get it done this time around?
Yeah, she did a great job, Dan. She set a good template. But what we saw was that some of the stronger Republican areas of the district really just didn't turn out. So this is purely a voter turnout race. The votes are there, but will the voters come? And that's what we've been working on, is connecting individually with those voters, recognizing the folks that were maybe a little bit disenfranchised last time that didn't come out. And we think that with a presidential election, we're going to have quite an uptick in turnout.
Yeah, I know it's a historically dumb district, as I was referencing, but I can't imagine, particularly with Trump's numbers among the so-called working class electorate, I can't imagine Kamala is terribly popular in your district.
She's not. I mean, as you mentioned, I'm a career trucker. I've got 3 million miles of trucking experience. Pretty rare person to run for Congress. And I connect with the blue-collar workers really well here in the district. And, yeah, Kamala is just disconnected from that audience of people who, while they might vote Democrat, they're pretty common sense, conservative, Midwestern values.
So I assume, the trades are going to be, tradesmen are going to be important here, and maybe the disconnect between union leadership and union rank and file is something that you can seize upon?
Yeah, we see that everywhere. The union leadership continues, in many cases, to endorse the Democrat candidates, but the union rank and file members are very open. And we've spoken at a number of union halls, gotten great reception, answered tough questions, which the Democrats right now are not doing, and willing to stand in the fire and earn their vote.
What made you want to go from trucking to politics?
Well, I started in local government back in 2011 as a town councilman in Cedar Lake, and I'm a county councilman now. It's a passion of mine to serve. I have some family members that have served in various levels of government, and my grandmother was a 35-year cafeteria worker, and when she passed away when I was 16, over 1,000 people paid their respects to her, and it really inspired me to do something in public service that gives back to people and leaves a lasting legacy. So this was my mission in life, was to find that place, and I found it in local government, and now running for Congress because I feel like for my young adult children who are 20 and 22, that the American dream is further than it's ever been from that generation.
Being an over-the-road trucker and running the family trucking business now, what sort of insights do you glean from the economic times in your district and in the country in general? I mean, where do you come in terms of these are some of the things we need to do to relieve people of the price spikes for groceries and gas and other things, and create more opportunity?
It's common sense stuff, Dan. Trucking's actually been in a recession now for over 2 years. And whenever trucking is down, the economy underneath it is usually in pretty bad shape. And we've been witnessing that for a couple of years. We've seen the rising costs in trucking and the lower rates really impact all of us. So it's getting back to the common sense things and actually budgeting in Congress, something that they haven't done in 20 years plus. Getting a budget passed, a balanced budget, not just appropriating the money, but telling it how to behave. It's what we do in small business every day. It's what keeps the supply chains going. And it's what allows me to continue to make payroll, is we have to be really smart with money in tough times. And government, unfortunately, thinks that it's the government's money. But I remind people, government doesn't produce anything. It only takes money from people and businesses. and we have to get back to treating it responsibly in that way.
How many employees do you have?
About 30.
And what do you guys haul? Anything specific or everything under the sun?
Now, we haul milk and food-grade liquids in tankers.
And so what? And so you you were talking about trucking being in a recession. Is that related to the dairy industry, for example, being hurt too?
Yes, trucking in general right now has been in a recession for quite some time because, frankly, people have run out of money. Credit card debt's at an all-time high, savings at an all-time low, and there's less goods being moved throughout the country right now than what there had been in previous years. I couldn't find truckers when I'd put out an ad in the paper and now or on Indeed, and now when I put out an ad, I have 50 resumes within a week for one position.
Yeah, I met a trucker who was my Uber driver the other day, and he said he used to make set amount of money an hour, and now they're making half of that, so he's got to do something else to get revenue. So, first congressional district in Indiana. I'm sure you have, because Dan and I both have a number of friends who've moved to Highland, to St. John,
Munster,
to Hammond. Are you noticing that they're of the Democratic persuasion or some Republicans?
I've seen more Republican voters in this district since the migration started and people were looking to escape Illinois. We've witnessed here in Lake County. I'm the county GOP chairman. Lake County now has the third highest amount of Republican voters in the entire state of Indiana. So a lot of that is attributed to the movement of people from Illinois that realized that their suburban life was severely impacted by bad policy in Illinois. So we're seeing those voting habits either change or those folks that were conservative in nature are moving here.
Yeah, for sure.
That's good.
John Cass, for example.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So Mervan, the race is going to be a referendum on him in significant measure. I mean, he's basically been a roll call vote for Biden-Harris, hasn't he? How does that set with the district?
I don't think it sets well when we hear from folks that we're out talking to that we can consider persuadable, soft Democrats, swing voters, soft Republicans. People expect their voice in Northwest Indiana to be like them, kind of independent, hard-nosed, once in a while a little bit rude. But we feel like if you look at Mervan's voting record, it's been almost entirely with the far left of his party, which is not representative of a very common sense blue collar district.
So I mean, where what is the issue that you think really turns former Mervan voters into Niemeyer voters? Is it border related? Is it inflation related? Is it both of those and more? I mean, is there something that really is grinding people in terms of Mervan that you think turns this race finally?
Top two you just mentioned. Number one is economy. Number two is border. When it's between $10,000 and $15,000 a year more in actual cash for a family of four to live, and your wages haven't kept up, people vote with their wallets. It's harder to live right now. Folks on fixed incomes are getting crushed by inflation and bad monetary policy in our country. Yeah, the open border has opened everyone's eyes to its overall impact, public safety, access to public services, draining of public systems. So those two issues is what we hear when we're going door to door more than anything.
And I mean, where do you think this race is right now? How tight is it?
It's tight. I mean, everybody's got their internal polls, Dan, and sometimes that makes it tough to tell. But all the data that we see and the attacks that we're getting now tells us that we must be hovering over the target. We're right in the running. We've got a great ground game. And what our internal polls showed is that we are tight. We're very, very tight with the educated voters. So we're just out there educating people and earning votes. And with early voting starting today, it's the nitty gritty now. And we feel it tightening up every day.
All right. Well, get out and bank your vote for Randy Niemeyer if you live in Indiana 1.
Yeah, I'm going to text my friends.
Republican nominee for Congress, Indiana 1st Congressional District, Randy Niemeyer. Again, the website for more information on his candidacy, Niemeyer, Niemeyer, NiemeyerforCongress.com. Randy, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck.
Dan and Amy, I appreciate you taking the time, and have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you so much. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I saw a Balance of Nature commercial. I said, I'm going to try this stuff out. So I got it. I'm going to take those capsules. And I'm going like, oh my goodness. I really truly believe that this stuff is really pretty remarkable.
I love this product. I really do. I think it's fantastic. I tell everybody that I think it's fantastic. So like I said, everything that they say on the TV about it is absolutely true.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
All right. Do you wake up day after day with joint pain in your knees, maybe your shoulder or your hips or your back? You've tried steroid shots over and over, daily doses of medication, and guess what? Those are just Band-Aids for the pain. Let's talk about real, lasting relief. Thousands of patients will tell you it is possible with help from QC Kinetics. People here in Chicago are reducing the inflammation, getting mobility back, and most importantly, getting their lives back. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cellular therapies. They use your own body's healing properties. Think about it. If you cut your hand, eventually it heals. So they are concentrated and carefully placed in your achy joints. Cutting-edge treatment, folks, that requires no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. Developed by medical professionals and under the leadership of Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup. He's a former orthopedic surgeon and a pioneer in clinical regenerative medicine. The choice is yours. You could continue with the steroids, daily medications, pursue surgery, and a long recovery that may or may not work, or you could see if you're a candidate for regenerative treatments. Find out with your free consultation at QC Kinetics. Get it on the books today. They have new locations in Crystal Lake, Gurnee. Saturday appointments available. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
It's Uncle Sam, and he wants some of your retirement money. Like it or not, you're going to owe taxes on your 401k. The good news is you may be able to reduce your tax bill with some strategic planning. Scott Tucker and the team at Scott Tucker Solutions are here to help. You'll work together to craft a plan that's designed to help make sure you don't pay a penny more than you should. Taxes are historically low right now, and we all know they probably won't remain this low forever, so call Scott Tucker and the Scott Tucker Solutions team before this tax-saving opportunity is gone. 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. It's time to preserve the retirement you deserve without giving more than necessary to your favorite uncle. Call Scott Tucker and the team at Scott Tucker Solutions now to schedule your 401k tax review. 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Firm does not give tax advice.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel. Home to the biggest shows on TV, like Dennis Prager, weekdays at noon Eastern, followed by Jay and Jordan Sekulow at 2. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free now on Xumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Xumo. AM 560, The Answer.
That sound means it's time for In-Depth History with Frank, the history teacher from Arlington Heights, because there's nothing new in this world. It's just the history we don't know, and Frank does. Frank, take it away.
Good morning. September 8th, 1985, Chicago, Illinois. The Bears started their dominating season battling Tampa Bay at Soldier Field. The game started out poorly as the Bucs jumped out to a 14-0 lead and led at half. Ultimately, the Bears shuffled past them 38-28, but it is interesting how precariously their Super Bowl season started. Across town, age 13, I was at Wrigley Field, and the Cubs were hosting the Reds, led by player-manager Pete Rose. At this point, he had 4,189 hits, only 2 behind Tommy Lee Jones's, or Ty Cobb's, record of 4,191. When the Cubs started a righty, Rose inserted himself in the lineup and got 2 hits, officially tying the record. At this point, Wrigley erupted into a standing ovation that must have lasted at least 5 minutes. Then on Wednesday, September 11th, at Riverfront Stadium, Rose hit a liner to left center off Eric Shaw to officially break the record. But interestingly, baseball historians have now pretty much confirmed that 2 of Cobb's hits were double counted, leaving his total at only 4,189. If true, Rose broke the record at Wrigley. Now, in the 2004 movie Sideways, Paul Giamatti played Miles, a character who can't forgive himself for being ordinary, or as he put it, after losing his book deal, a smudge of excrement on a tissue floating out to sea. One could really see Miles' sadness when he saw his graduation picture with his dad. The actual prop used was indeed a photo of a young Paul and his real father, the MLB commissioner, Bart Giamatti, the man who banned Pete Rose from baseball. Perhaps Giamatti did what was necessary at the time, but with 3 World Series, 3 batting titles, 1 MVP, a 44-game hit streak, and 4,256 total hits, Rose deserves to be inducted into the Hall of Fame while alive. Forgiveness, though, is not something we do in post-Christian America. Rest in peace, Charlie Hustle.
Very good, Frank. Completely agree. You know that reference that Giamatti made to being a smudge of excrement. You know who that's from, right?
Actually, no, I don't. Do not know.
I think he references it in the movie, but it's Charles Bukowski. That's where he pulled that phrase from. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah,
so who is the commissioner? Do you know who the commissioner was after Bart Giamatti? Trivia question.
Fay Vincent, right?
Fay Vincent, very good.
Yeah.
Then Bud Selig.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I've sort of lost track of baseball. I was noticing it this year when Ohtani got 50-50, and I was watching some of the coverage of that first 50-50 guy. I'm like, I don't know who any of these players are anymore. Are you still like that 13-year-old kid? Are you still fantasy league and?
I'm still fantasy league. I love that. That keeps me in it. But
yeah.
I'll tell you, I was just talking to my dad about it. We don't like the fact that there's all these playoff teams. It just kind of ruins the excellence of these teams that win 95 to 100 games. And, the Mets and the Tigers are right now both in it. They could both be in the LCSs. Too many games. Should be over with by October 20th at the latest.
Yeah, the White Sox just missed the playoffs this year.
They did.
Yeah,
they did.
Just missed it. Frank, thank you as always. Excellent. Coming up at 7:07, we'll talk to our friend Andy McCarthy about rogue prosecutor Jack Smith and his 11th hour attempt to get Trump convicted in federal court before November 5th. Of course, that's 7:07.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
2 men killed in a Southside restaurant shooting. The mayor announces new candidates for the Chicago Board of Ed. And jury selection begins today in the Mike Madigan trial. WIND Chicago News Time, 7.
You have all day today. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Governor Ron DeSantis is telling people along Florida's west coast as Hurricane Milton bears down.
If you are in one of those surge-prone areas, take action now.
And the governor just told Fox.
You do not have to get on the interstate and drive hundreds of miles. There are shelters open.
Now, he says they're trucking in more fuel with police escort after some gas stations ran out. Grocery stores have a lot of empty shelves as people stock up and board up. We've just found out Hurricane Milton's down with 145-mile-an-hour wind, still a Category 4. There's also concern about the debris from Hurricane Helene not cleaned up yet in Florida, causing even more damage being thrown around by Milton. Fox Weather's Mike Seidel's in Madera Beach.
The mandatory evacuation kicked in last night at 7. Now, residents and business owners and folks still cleaning up the debris can get back and forth over the causeway bridges. And then tonight at 7, they're going to lock down the bridges and keep everybody out. If you're in, you're in. If you're out, you're out.
FEMA and the National Guard are preparing while also responding to Helene's devastation.
People are in desperate need of support right now.
And Vice President Harris accused Florida's governor of being selfish, playing political games, not taking her call or replying. Governor DeSantis also told Fox this morning that she's being political, running for president.
Why all of a sudden is she trying to parachute in and inject herself when she's never shown any interest in the past?
The day after commemorations marking 1 year since the Hamas terror attack in Israel that triggered the war in Gaza, we've learned Israelis killed 3 more Hamas commanders. Israel's also being hit today with another barrage of Hezbollah rockets from Lebanon as Israel launches airstrikes. One killed another commander in the Iran-backed militant group.
Meanwhile, a warning from Iran. The Middle East is awaiting an Israeli response to last week's barrage of Iranian missiles. Iran's foreign minister says any attack on his country's infrastructure will be met with yet more retaliation.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. America's listening to Fox News.
7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 2 were shot and killed by a restaurant employee in the Wrightwood neighborhood on the south side late last night. The shooting took place inside a JJ's Fish restaurant in the 7800 block of Southwestern Avenue. A 7-year-old child and a man seriously wounded, both in very critical condition, following a shooting on Chicago's far south side near 116th and Yale. No arrests have been made. Jury selection begins today in the long-awaited racketeering trial of former Illinois House Speaker, Democrat Michael Madigan. Madigan and longtime confidant Michael McLean face charges accusing them of conspiring to participate in an array of bribery and an extortion scheme. Illinois State Representative Patrick Windhorst said he does not expect proceedings to move quickly.
I believe our system of justice is the best in the world, and we, as much as is humanly possible, get to the truth of a matter through our system.
The trial is expected to last several weeks. Mayor Brandon Johnson proposing 6 controversial appointees to the Chicago Board of Education. Johnson says all 6 will go through a public vetting process before they are officially seated on the board later this month, but refused to let them answer any questions.
We're not doing that. If you have a question for the mayor of Chicago, you can ask me a question.
Later, aldermen and women, flanked by parents, push back against the mayor's power grab. Nicole Lee says she's shocked by the mayor's actions.
We deserve more responsible leadership. I'm absolutely opposed to the $300 million payday loan scheme that's been suggested.
There will be more discussions at City Hall today over the mayor's choices. The largest regulated water and wastewater utility company in the United States says it has been the victim of a cyber attack, prompting the firm to pause billing to customers. New Jersey-based American Water provides service to more than 14 million people in 14 states and on 18 military installations. Here in Illinois, American Water manages water and wastewater systems in 148 communities like Country Club Hills, Inverness, Bolingbrook, Arlington Heights, Elmhurst, and St. Charles, among many others in the Chicago Metro and the Metro East of St. Louis. Chicago sports. Blackhawks start the regular NHL season tonight in Utah. The Bulls open up preseason play when they visit the Cavaliers later on tonight. The Bears will leave Jaquan Brisker back. The safety has a concussion, so will not travel with the team to London to take on Jacksonville. The News is a service of Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies in a capsule. Order online at balanceofnature.com and use coupon code Chicago to save 35% as a preferred customer. Hurry, offer ends soon. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by attorney Stephen A. Leahy at Opum Tax Advocates and by Valdecas Incorporated Windows and Doors.
Hey, Chris. How was your week?
Oh, sorry, Jen. I can't talk right now. The network is down again, and I can't access any of my files. What's worse, I'm late for a virtual call and past deadline on a project.
Let me help. I'll reboot the cable modem, wait 10 minutes, then reboot the router. Let's see if that works.
Sounds easy enough, but I shouldn't have to play resident IT director every time our equipment goes down. I shouldn't be messing with this IT work.
I agree. This technical stuff is stressing me out, and I'm tired of getting blamed by the boss for all of these outages.
We gotta convince the boss man to find a company to help us. This is just not working.
At Turnkey, we understand the importance of having a network you can count on, one that's reliable and doesn't go down. We provide quick, friendly service when things go wrong with no hidden fees for on-site support. Turnkey is the small business champion, delivering world-class service at the price of a monthly car payment. Visit turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
The socialists who want to move into the White House have a lot of plans for your money. One of them is to control the price of food, and this is just the start. Could 401ks and IRAs be next on their agenda? It might sound far-fetched, but so did price fixing just months ago. Hi, Donald Trump Jr. here. If you've spent decades building your nest egg, you can act now to stop your savings from falling into the hands of the socialists. It's why Americans are turning to gold, the ultimate safe haven in uncertain times. To see how easy it is to diversify your retirement with gold, get a free info kit from my friends at Birch Gold by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. Birch Gold makes it easy to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait any longer. Protect your financial future now. Text PROTECT to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold, the only gold company I trust.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
My husband's a retired cop, and I worked in a hospital for years. I'm going out right now because I'm getting ready to paint my fence. It's just literally amazing. And, you know, you watch the TV articles and you go, yeah. Well, at least it's 100% returnable if it doesn't work. I'm not kidding you. It is the most amazing product I've ever taken.
I love it. I love the product. And not only the product, the people that work for them, too, are really nice. That's another plus. It's the best product on the market.
I think it's a good product, so that's the reason I'll continue to take it.
It's a wonderful product. I'm trying to get as many people as I can to take it.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update on the travel times, the service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations. Hot air roasted locally, cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. The Kennedy at 1 hour and 16. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Delays on the I coming in between Wolf and Costner. 1 hour into the old post office. Stop and slow on the inbound Dan Ryan with an accident on the right shoulder. Right at the Stevenson Expressway. 25 and climbing up. 95th into the Burns Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Plenty of sunshine, a beautiful day. High today at 75, clear tonight, low 51, and then sunshine pleasant for tomorrow and Thursday. High tomorrow 73, Thursday's high at 72. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
51 at O'Hare, 43 at DuPage Airport. Your next news update, 7:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Jack Smith, after the Supreme Court's decision in the presidential immunity case, Jack Smith filed a superseding indictment against Trump, and then a brief that laid out the government's arguments against immunity and asked the judge to unseal it, Judge Tanya Chutkin, who's been doing the bidding of Jack Smith in that case. And obviously, with a month to go before the election, this is no longer about getting Trump in court, at least not before the election. This is about getting information that is negative about Trump out into the public sphere to try to help Kamala Harris across the finish line. And then Jack Smith will have free rein to prosecute the former president after November 5th. That's what it seems to me.
Smear campaign right before the election.
It's Kim Strassel called it the Jack Smith's October surprise. But the interesting thing is I was concerned about this, concerned about Trump, the convicted felon, and it's interesting how little
people care.
How little Democrats are using that. They've made mention it sort of in passing a couple of times at the convention. Maybe once Kamala referenced it during the debate, but it tells you it doesn't have very much currency. So, Jack Smith just has this Elliot Ness complex, and he's going to go to the mat regardless. He's a zealot.
I remember Biden mentioned it just one time during their debate, and it didn't stick because people don't care. People know.
Well, that was.
I think even some Democrats
in the Biden debate, he hadn't been convicted yet.
No.
So the Kamala debate, but even after the conviction, it just doesn't have much stickiness, it doesn't seem. For more on this, Andy McCarthy joins us, former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York. That would be Manhattan. Contributing editor at National Review and author of the bestseller Ball of Collusion, The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Speaking of plots to rig an election, Jack Smith seems to have cooked up his own. Andy McCarthy, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Morning. Great to be with you.
So your assessment of what Jack Smith is doing here and the propriety of it as an officer of the court?
Well, look, I think the Supreme Court gave him, not that they intended to do this, but there was a pretext for doing this, which was in the immunity decision, the Supreme Court told Judge Chutkin she had to go exactingly through the indictment and the way that Smith was going to go about proving the indictment and decide which acts are potentially immune because they're official acts of the presidency and which acts are private and can be prosecuted. And that was supposed to be and should have been a good faith exercise of, just a simple legal question, which is, I don't mean to say that it's simple in execution because it can be very difficult to figure out whether an act is presidential or private, depending on the context and a lot of other factors. What I mean, it was simple in the sense that was the assignment. And rather than carry out the assignment, it was used pretextually to allow Smith to publish a book-length 165-page brief, which is about three times the size of what's normally allowed. Chutkin had to actually authorize him to write a bigger brief than the rules of the court allow so that he could get all this out. And then just to show that this was completely a pretextual exercise, he filed both the book-length complete version, unabridged, and then he also filed at the same time a redacted version that took out the stuff that was sensitive in the hopes of helping Judge Chutkin quickly get through it and decide, what could be made public, which of course she did. So the whole point of it was to get the information out into the public domain. But I don't think that's a surprise because this whole exercise of this prosecution, and I don't mean just this one, but this one in conjunction with the Florida case, it was strategically indicted with the plan of tying Trump to federal courtrooms from March through Election Day. I mean, they were planning to have back-to-back 2 to 3 month trials that Trump would have to attend rather than be out campaigning. That was his plan all along. The immunity decision by the Supreme Court, I'll put aside for now Judge Cannon's decision to dismiss the Florida case, but the immunity decision from the Supreme Court threw a wrench in the works, so that it turned out Smith was never going to get to trial, and this is the next best thing for them.
Well,
and I think Amy's right that, you know, in the sense that they're not talking about this much publicly, but I think it's a two-edged thing for them, right? They think of this as a turnout election, and they have to get the progressives juiced up. So I think that's what Chutkan and Smith's part of the equation is to throw red meat to the base. But they're not talking about this much publicly, because publicly, when they talk about this, the bite back on that is that they're abusing the Justice Department to go after a political enemy. So I don't think it really helps them.
well, was there a smoking gun in this 165-page document? Anything new? Anything that went, oh, that could be damaging to President Trump?
See, Amy, this is exactly the point with this, as being resonant for purposes of the election. I think what they needed was to get a high-profile trial where, you know, look, we've heard a lot. For example, we've heard a lot for 4 years about the role of Mike Pence and the pressure that was put on him and all that stuff. We know that story already. Now, what would be electrifying, if that's not too loaded a word, and I suppose it would be if Smith had gotten Pence to testify, you know, in September or October, and then they convicted Trump in court. That would be a big deal, right? But otherwise, we've had everybody in America watch January 6th happen on television in real time. Then we had an impeachment and an impeachment trial in the Senate. Then we had a high-profile, slickly produced House January 6th committee thing, half of which was in prime time, so they would try to get people to watch it. And almost none of it is new. We've all known the basic story since the first day. So I don't think continuing to tell the story on paper resonates with people in any kind of a material way. And most people have made up their minds what they think about this. The people who feel very strongly about it in the anti-Trump camp have already decided that he's unfit to be president. The MAGA people who feel equally strongly about it think, have decided that it says whatever it says about Trump, but in the meantime, we've had 4 years of complete dysfunction under the Biden-Harris administration, and that you have to take it, you can't look at this thing in a vacuum. You have to look at the whole, the choice in November, and, regardless of what you think about January 6th, the question is, can we stand 4 more years of what the last 4 years has been like?
Well, right.
So
I mean,
I don't think it's changing anyone's mind.
No, I mean, and it's in the filing. I mean, all Smith really does is make declarations that things that are arguably official acts were not official acts. They were private acts, and thus he has criminal exposure for those private acts. Basically, it seems to me.
Yeah, well, if I were the Supreme Court, I'd be pretty angry about the submission because, it's obviously, this is probably the most telling sign that it's just made for politics. It's not a legal argument. What the Supreme Court actually said in the immunity case is that we don't think you should be using presidential acts to prosecute, period. Now, we're not going to go any further than we need to go today, which is to say, if something is at the core of executive power, like an Article II power, like Trump's control over the Justice Department, which Smith wanted to turn into a crime, you're not allowed to do that because that's core Article II activity, and that's absolutely immune. But what the court was very clear that we're not saying that we're going to ultimately find that all presidential acts aren't absolutely immune. All we're saying is for today, we don't have to go any further than to say core acts are absolutely immune, and everything else the president does under the auspices of being president is at least presumptively immune, and it may ultimately be absolutely immune. So what they're trying to say to Smith is, don't do this. And what Smith's brief says is basically,
I'm going to do it anyway.
It's basically a little bump in the road. presumptive immunity is easy to overcome. I can just say a few things and presto, it's overcome. And that's not what the court said. The court was basically saying, we didn't do this for a quarter of a millennium for good reasons, because the chief executive's role in our constitutional system is essential. And if a prosecutor is allowed to make the president fear that the execution of his authority will be second-guessed later on and turned into a felony, then the presidency can't perform its role in the system. So that was the court's message, and Smith basically ignored it. And I think he'll get away with it with Chutkan unless if Trump wins the election, this case is going away anyway.
Right.
But if he doesn't, then, Smith will get away with this with Chutkan, probably. But I think he may have headwinds in the Court of Appeals, and I think the Supreme Court's going to be very annoyed that he basically ignored their decision.
Trump was in Butler, Pennsylvania. His triumphant return this weekend, as everyone knows. So 2 failed assassination attempts on Trump in the last few months. Also, a assassination plot, you mentioned her, against Judge Eileen Cannon that has not gotten a lot of attention, but probably deserves some attention. And of course, it was some guy from Illinois. And because again, here is the tone of our politics and so on and so forth. I mean, this was obviously related. The motivation was related to her rulings in the documents case that upset so many hysterics on the left. I just want sort of you to address that. I mean, this is on the back of the assassination plot against Brett Kavanaugh and the rhetoric of Chucky Schumer and others in the direction of Supreme Court justices whose rulings they don't like. It's not just elected officials; it's the appointed ones too.
Yeah, that's right. But I think what has people rightly whipped up is the double standard. They keep talking about Trump as an insurrectionist and as somebody who incited the riot. Now, from my perspective, I think that Trump is politically and morally responsible for the riot. And I've said that from the beginning. But I'm pretty clinical about legal stuff, especially having actually prosecuted terrorists for incitement. And it's a very tough legal test. I don't think we ought to be talking about Trump as if he caused the Capitol riot, because from a legal standpoint, they haven't charged him with it because they don't have evidence of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yet the political rhetoric is that he caused it. And it can't be that Trump, by saying what he said, notwithstanding that he threw in there, let's peacefully march, which of course never gets reported when they're talking about his speech, you're going to hold him responsible for a 3.5-hour riot. And yet all of the left's rhetoric, which gave us months of lethal rioting in the George Floyd aftermath, and has been a staple of radical left-wing politics and activism since I've been on this planet, we're supposed to turn a deaf ear to all of that as if it doesn't matter. And naturally, a part of this is that they don't cover these events. So you have, with all the rhetoric about Trump causing a riot that they can't charge him with because legally he didn't actually incite it, you wouldn't even know. I mean, there's been almost zero reporting about the fact that a guy has actually been indicted and is in custody for making actual threats to kidnap and kill Judge Cannon and her family. And the reason they won't cover it is obvious. They're the ones who are most complicit in fiery political rhetoric, provocative political rhetoric, and there's been more of a direct nexus between their hate speech and actual violence than anything that they can point to on the other side.
Yeah, and you would think, I mean, just speaking of Illinois, I know the guy was from Urbana. I think he was from Urbana, but I mean, right. we had this, 20 years ago, the high-profile murder of Judge Joan Lefkoe. Murdered the judge's husband and a mother of the mother there. And then the suspect committed suicide. But I mean, just in terms of like, we talk about protecting judges, and not just from people that appear in their courtrooms, which is an issue. Obviously, you're dealing with violent criminals often, but just generally speaking. And then there's very little said about Eileen Cannon, because the entire bar was trying to get her defrocked, essentially, after she dismissed the case against Trump.
Yeah, and if they covered it, they would have to say, maybe they bear some responsibility for that on the basis of their irresponsible rhetoric. Now, from my perspective, and again, I say this as somebody who's convicted terrorists for incitement, I would like everybody to be judged by the same legal standard. I never said that the guy who opened fire and almost killed Steve Scalise, almost killed another guy, and could very easily have killed a number of people, Republican members of the House at that baseball practice. I never made a big deal about the fact that the guy's a Bernie Sanders supporter. I think it's relevant that he's a radical leftist, because I think violence comes with that. But I didn't blame Sanders for the fact that, one of his maniac supporters went out and tried to commit a mass murder attack, because I think we all have agency, and we're all responsible for our actions. And I looked the jury in the eye at the end. I had terrorists who were saying that they were provoked into bombing places in New York, including the World Trade Center, because they were so, they had been entrapped by the government, or they were enraged by what they saw on television about what was happening in Bosnia. And I asked the jury, and I'd ask anyone, what would it take for somebody to say something to you that would incite you into committing a mass murder attack?
Right.
It can't be done, right? You're either wired like that or you're not. So I think it's very irresponsible for people on both sides to say that the things that we say in hot political rhetoric are responsible for maniacs who go out and commit murder. But if you're going to play that game, it's got to be played equally on both sides, and of course it never is.
Andy McCarthy, former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney, Southern District of New York, contributing editor at National Review, and author of the bestseller Ball of Collusion: The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Andy, thank you as always.
Thanks. Have a great day, guys.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out, because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Dan Proft here for my friends at Low T Center. If you're frequently tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait. Find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's a simple test, and with an on-site lab, you get your results back right there. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. Their physicians specialize in treating low T with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have more than a decade of experience helping patients, and this is important, their personal treatment plans are optimized for each patient. They're not just basic standard treatments. For established patients, they also offer a convenient physician-monitored at-home treatment plan that ships directly to your home each month without the need to come in for weekly visits. And at Low T Center, you can get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, we'll talk a little bit about BLM Brandon and his new school board with Ted Debrowski, a weekly confab on all things Illinois policy related at 7:37.
And guess how many work for the CTU currently? But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
7:31 on AM 560. The Answer. Hezbollah's acting leader says even more Israelis will be displaced as the militant group extends its rocket fire deeper into Israel. Israel's military this morning says they've killed a senior Hezbollah commander in a strike on Beirut. The White House says the federal government is preparing to lend support as Hurricane Milton approaches the Florida coast. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis taking his own tack, saying Milton is a monster and get out of the way.
Milton has strengthened not just into a major hurricane, but a Category 5 hurricane, and not just a Category 5 hurricane, but a very strong 175 mile per hour sustained wind Category 5 hurricane.
More than 500,000 people living in Pinellas County, Florida, are being told to evacuate.
More than half the county are required to evacuate. And so at 7 p.m. tonight, all of the bridges accessing the barrier islands, and that is everything from Dunedin Causeway down to the Pinellas Bayway, will shut down.
Sheriff Bob Gualtieri. Meantime, Hurricane Milton closes in on Central Florida. There's a report that FEMA doesn't have nearly enough staff to respond to it. The New York Times is reporting just 9% of the agency's personnel are available. With less than a month to go before the election, Vice President Kamala Harris will be talking with ABC's The View today and sitting down tonight with Stephen Colbert. Grammy-winning singer and mother of the late Whitney Houston, Cissy Houston, has passed away. Cissy Houston was a commanding soul and gospel artist in her own right, started her career as a backup singer for Elvis Presley and then moved on to be featured by Aretha Franklin and then Dionne Warwick. She went on to win 2 Grammys of her own for her solo work. Cissy Houston, dead at the age of 91. 2 men were shot and killed by a restaurant employee in the Wrightwood neighborhood on the south side last night, inside of a JJ's Fish in the 7800 block of Southwestern. A 7-year-old child and a man seriously wounded following a shooting on the far south side last night near 116th and Yale. It was a drive-by shooting. The child shot in the back. The man suffered multiple gunshot wounds, again, both this morning in very critical condition. And jury selection begins today in the long-awaited racketeering trial of former Illinois House Speaker, Democrat Michael Madigan. Blackhawks take on Utah to open up the NHL regular season, while the preseason opens for the Bulls as they visit Cleveland. Baseball, the division series all knotted up at a game each. Tigers over the Guardians 3-0 in Cleveland, while the Royals beat the Yankees in the Bronx 4-2. Game 3 for both series, shifting to Detroit and Kansas City on Wednesday. The news, a service of Valdecast Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional-level window replacement service. Contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning, platinum, elite, Pella-certified contractor. Visit Valdecast.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder sees the media working for Harris.
We've played you many sound bites of people on the left, media people saying, well, it doesn't really matter that she's not sitting down and doing interviews. Why? Well, Trump. Well, it doesn't really matter that we don't know her economic agenda. Why? Well, Trump. This is just sick. And how a Republican can exist with a media this unfair, you have got to be kidding me.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Reveille. After 3.5 years of open borders with poor, uneducated masses pouring across our borders and billions of American taxpayer money spent to support them, everybody should be questioning the Biden-Harris administration's fealty to taking care of Americans first. Now comes another example of the Biden-Harris misguided priorities in their inadequate response to Americans affected by Hurricane Helene. The stories pouring out of the hurricane-stricken parts of North Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia should outrage all of us over the feeble federal response to our citizens who have lost everything. It took Biden-Harris 6 days before announcing that members of the 82nd Airborne would be directed to help with disaster relief, despite the military's unique ability to deploy rapidly and conduct rescue and support operations in difficult situations. And despite Fort Liberty being just a couple hundred miles away from the objective instead of an ocean away. In another example of the tone deafness of the Biden-Harris administration, they announced $20 million in immediate relief would be sent to those affected by the hurricane, and the next day announced 8 times as much, $157 million, would be sent to the Lebanese people displaced by the shelling of their own country. Even worse, FEMA officials supposedly used funds for migrant care and have insufficient reserves for Americans now in need. But for numerous neighbors helping neighbors and manpower and supplies coming from faraway states to the hard-hit mountains, there is little doubt that even more lives would have been lost and more suffering incurred. The generous American spirit lives on. Our people have proven once again that when the government fails to act and plan, the American people will step up to help their fellow man. We're fortunate that we have so many assets in private hands instead of having complete reliance on the government. I'm Jeannie Ives. To learn more, listen to my radio show on Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
If you're experiencing low energy, brain fog, or bloating, then your body might need a detox. Active Liver from New Nordic makes it easy to help your liver to detox your body all year long without major changes to your diet or lifestyle.
7:38. Let's get an update on the roads. We'll start in southern Cook County. This is on westbound 8094. Bad accident reported between Torrance and the Bishop Ford. It's on the westbound side. We'll keep an eye on that for you. Watching the toll roads this morning, the Reagan jamming up eastbound between Randall and Farnsworth, and then between Roosevelt Road and the Tri-State. Tri-State itself jamming up southbound 31st into Ogden Avenue. DuSable Lakeshore Drive is jam solid southbound between Lawrence and North Avenue in that roadwork and repaving zone. They've just removed an accident on the outbound Dan Ryan at 119th. That delay remains, but cleanup work is done. Traffic, a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Online at papanicholas.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Just a beautiful day. Plenty of sunshine and 75 today. Clear and 51 overnight. Sunshine 72 tomorrow. Partly cloudy and 50 right now. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So BLM Brandon rolled out his new selections for CPS school board yesterday, and
well, only 6 were there. They're working on the 7th, but as he says, everybody wants to be on the school board, Dan, and he surrounded himself with black pastors and black community leaders at a Southside church, and everything was about black, 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 black. And school choice people were there, Dan, with their signs, and interrupted him.
Our collaborative work also improves special education services. I will just say, as I finish my comments, the most legitimate existence of anyone in this country is the legitimate existence of a black man.
I mean, everything.
What does that mean?
I don't even know. I don't even know if he knows, but he's got a job as a black man.
My full-time and only job is to run this city, to love my black wife and my black children. Go ahead, Sarah.
Good morning.
The most legitimate existence in this country is a black man or something like that. What does that mean?
I don't know, but he was comparing like fiscal responsibility to slavery.
Well, that's what I saw is to oppose a blank check to the Chicago Teachers Union is to be a Confederate slave owner, which is arguably a bit of a reach.
Then the so-called exports, the so-called fiscally responsible stewards, are making the same argument when our people wanted to be liberated and emancipated in this country. The argument was, you can't free black people because it would be too expensive. They said that it would be fiscally irresponsible for this country to liberate black people. And now you have detractors making the same argument of the Confederacy when it comes to public education in this system.
Okay. All right. I mean, look, this is not anything we're not accustomed to. I mean, this is the whole Black Lives Matter movement. This is the 1619 Project. This is the race hustle.
Yeah,
and it's a 24/7 race hustle with BLM Brandon because that's all he's got.
Well, I'm telling you, he was rude. He's incompetent. He's vain. He's racist. He's misogynistic. He was so rude yesterday to the 2 female reporters because, Sarah Schulte from Channel 7 asked a legitimate question.
I'm wondering if any of the board members can answer this question. Actually, if all of you can, maybe even just a show of your hands. How many of you support taking out a short-term,
we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
For a teacher's contract?
If you have a question for the mayor of Chicago, you can ask me a question. What you are not going to do is litigate what the board has the authority to do once they're appointed. You can ask that once they are appointed. No. I'm not going to do it.
And,
it's disrespectful.
It's everything was disrespectful.
You can't ask
everything.
You can't ask somebody a question about what their policy views are until they're appointed?
They wouldn't answer. He wouldn't answer any questions, and he shunned any reporter who asked about the future of Pedro Martinez. But then there's this, because somebody, who used to have, I'm old enough to remember a few weeks ago when they were going to implement a non-travel policy in the mayor's office to save money and a hiring freeze. But yet he's going to London to watch the Bears.
Mayor, is this a good week to go to London for a Bears game? And also, who's going to pay for that trip?
Okay. All right. I'm going to London to attract business to Chicago. Okay? I'm going to London to attract business in Chicago.
But are you going to the game?
Hold on a second. Because you already know the answer to that. But I just want to make sure that you do the people of Chicago service. Because I have to be very honest with you. It's pretty jacked up the way you framed that. Right. It is.
It is.
It's disrespectful and condescending.
Yeah.
That the black man is going to London for a game.
Yep, there you go.
It's disrespectful. It is.
Yeah.
And people get away with that too much.
Oh, yeah.
You don't
the governor
question the
went
black
to Tokyo.
Man. Yeah.
The governor went to Tokyo to attract business. The mayor of Chicago is going to London to attract business. And while I'm there, I'm going to root for the Chicago Bears.
I mean,
that was a raggedy question, and we know.
I don't ever discuss personnel issues. I find it to be highly offensive, irresponsible, and raggedy, and I don't do raggedy.
He doesn't do raggedy.
You don't do raggedy.
And that was raggedy. There's some raggedy-ass business there.
But he wasn't. This is not a serious man. I mean,
The black man. You question the black man. The black man can't go to a football game? Is that what you're saying? No, not saying that. Okay, so you're going there on business. Who are you meeting with?
Who are you meeting? Right. What kind of manufacturing? Agriculture? What are we doing?
You're going to try and bring Manchester United back here so somebody can play at Soldier Field, or what?
But this is not a serious person. People need to hear this. This is inside baseball, but this is what happens at these press
Breaking
conferences.
news. This is not.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning. And by the way, Craig, with that deep voice, the only thing you can do after what I just said is, you'll never find.
Oh, if only I could hold a tune. And it is still morning. So
very collegial. Yeah, well, that's the Chicago Press Corps, which is the government press corps, of course. Ted Debrowski, president of wirepoints.org, joins us. Ted, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
Are you exercised about this coup, this school board coup, Ted? Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my gosh.
He got rid of some school board members nobody's ever heard of that are toadies for the mayor to put in new toadies for the mayor. Oh, heavens. What the?
Everything's going to change dramatically, right?
Oh, yeah.
No, it's I've been screaming about this, and I think like you guys have, this place has been a mess for a long, long time, and it's really no different whether it's under Lightfoot or Rahm Emanuel. My biggest thing is that kids can't read; they're not learning, and none of that changes no matter how much this stuff goes on. It may be more chaos, maybe more noise, maybe more craziness.
Yeah, just the Confederacy metaphor that BLM Brandon used. Who's the plantation owner in this story? It's honkies, it's MAGA Republicans, or it's Brandon Johnson, the Chicago Teachers Union.
Yeah, it's I think what's going to be interesting is he's bringing to light just how incompetent he is, as Amy's saying, and you got to wonder whether you hear things like recall and all that, because he's. You're even starting to see some of the press. It's interesting looking at some of the Twitter or X action. Some of the guys that would normally be supporting him are challenging him a little bit. So I think that's going to be interesting. But what drives me crazy about this whole discussion, and people think it's gonna, oh my gosh, things will be worse. People need to understand that this union only has this much power because our state legislature has given them this much power. Mm-hmm. We have empowered the union to be crazy and to weaponize everything against our own kids because our lawmakers give them the powers to collectively bargain over all kinds of things, gives it the right to strike, gave them Amendment 1. There was a bipartisan vote for Amendment 1.
Bipartisan? It was sponsored by the two Republican legislative leaders, including Amy's friend, Tony McCombie.
Yeah, so McCombie and Curran, both of them on it. And so we gave them these powers, and it's like creating a Frankenstein and then wondering why Frankenstein's coming after you. It's exactly what we've done. So we can complain all we want about these unions, and we should, by the way. But if we don't get back to the core fact that it's the legislators that give them these massive powers, I know there's not a single state in this country that gives its unions as much power as we do. And so if we ever want to fix things, part of that big fix is going to be clipping the wings of these unions, because
and the only way you do that, the only way you do that, it was an opposition party, and the Republican Party
exactly
has. I mean, first of all, it doesn't exist, and to the extent there's some people running around with R's on their lapels, they don't have the guts to self-discipline, to regulate. So how you have legislative leaders like John Curran and Tony McCombie, who sponsored the sale of this state, or it wasn't even a sale because they didn't pay anything, turning over this state to the government unions. It's unconscionable. If this was happening at the federal level, it would be borderline treasonous, and yet there's no repercussions, and so nothing changes, including the Republicans' permanent super minority status.
Well, what's amazing was during the last elections, I remember the Republicans couldn't take a stance against the unions because they supported Amendment 1. So it was a really awkward situation. So until you get a real opposition, until you can really clip the wings of the unions, count on this to happen all the time. I mean, to me, it's not surprising. It is sad. It means we're moving further and further away. Well, I don't know. Somebody could argue that the bigger the chaos, the sooner we move towards change, and maybe that's the silver lining in all this. But it's going to be uglier. They're going to try to take on Pritzker for more money. I don't think they'll be successful in that, and we'll just see where the chaos goes.
Well, I got to tell you, I spoke with one alderman yesterday who says this is going to be a smash and grab. That Brandon Johnson, the writing's on the wall now. That's why he surrounded himself with black pastors in a safe space yesterday while making this big announcement, and that he's going to just take whatever he wants and take it because he knows he's not going to be reelected.
That's new.
You don't think that's going to happen?
That's the only thing that happens. That happens with every mayor, every year, every term, every day. I mean, when did that stop happening? When has that not happened? That's an interesting conversation because I can't remember the last time that hasn't been the protocol at both the city and the county and the state level. That's the kleptocracy that is this entire place.
I think the other big opportunity right now is, if we've been unsuccessful in getting that school choice message out there and an awareness of how bad things are.
What are you talking about? You had 3 people there saying they want 9. School choice.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
2 had a fire Brandon sign.
It's a real groundswell.
Yeah, I mean, if you had a $12,000 education savings account right now, I tell you, a lot of people would take it. They take it, but we're not doing that. Again, back to the opposition, we are not screaming from the mountaintops that kids can't read, and as long as people still have this hope that these public schools will help their kids, a really unfounded hope. As long as they have that, then they're not pushing back.
Well, one of the new school board members, Deborah Pope, she works for the CTU and has been involved in negotiations in the past week. But so we have an elected school board coming up November 5th. What do we know? Can we get a cheat sheet of any possibly maybe moderate, maybe conservative candidates who want to join the school board?
Yeah, well, the Urban Center's a group out there that's trying to get some pro reform candidates out there. Illinois Policy Action has been out there doing that. The Charter Network is out there. So there's some good names out there. I don't know whether they have a chance to rise to the top, but I think it's probably the first time I've seen something like that go on. So that's let's call it semi-optimistic, but it's going to take a lot more than that to bring change around anyway.
Hey, what businesses did Jelly Belly end up bringing back from Japan? Anybody know?
I saw some announcements.
Maybe manufacturing.
We got
what?
Right.
What do we got?
I don't know. Is
giant tech company? What do we have?
Samsung going to relocate their corporate headquarters, or what's going on? I don't know. Wait, what do you expect? Merry old England. We're going to bring. What are we bringing back from England? Brandon Johnson's visit. These visits where politicians go to recruit businesses. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Johnson should have said, look, I'm going to the Chicago game, the Bears game, and I'll see some companies on the side. That's what he should have said, because that would have been probably more truthful.
But I don't even know if he's seeing companies on the side. That might just be a big hot mess, too.
What are the companies? That's fine. I just want to hear the recruiting pitch, and I want to know who he's making it to. I just think that would be entertaining.
That would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. How would you sell Chicago right
now? I mean,
now?
that's like Brandon Johnson and Shark Tank. I think it'd be fascinating. Yeah. See if anybody bites. Ted Debrowski, President, Wirepoints, wirepoints.org. Oh, one other thing I wanted to ask you, too, because I know everybody's super interested in this.
What?
Mike Madigan's trial.
Oh, that's right. Jury selection begins today.
What do you mean that's right? This isn't captivating the imagination of Illinois families, Ted?
Well, I think that if he gets indicted, if he gets busted, I think that might solve the crime issue and the corruption issue in Illinois.
No more politicians,
because everybody will see that there's you learn a lesson. You don't do corruption, and everything will be good again.
Exactly. You know what?
And I hate to be that sarcastic, but to me, sadly, it doesn't matter because it's not going to change how people behave at all.
I think
and he should be busted, but I don't think it changes anything.
I think not only if he gets convicted, not only will it finally clean up Illinois politics, but I also think it'll improve the Chicago public school system somehow. I don't know how, but I just think it will, because I like to have these beautiful lies that I tell myself and offer non sequiturs about how things are improving or are going to improve in magical ways. It's kind of fun. And it's kind of fun. And then, and I can just call everybody racist who disagrees with me.
Right, exactly.
Ted Debrowski, president, wirepoints.org. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
This fall season, don't forget your Balance of Nature supplements, a proud supporter of this radio station for 10 years. Turkey, pumpkin pie, ice cream aren't going to cut it. Your body needs fruits and vegetables to stay healthy, happy, and energized. That's why I've been supplementing with Balance of Nature for nearly a decade. It is so easy to open up those individual capsules and dust them over my salad or mix them into juice drinks. That's how I do it. And it makes me feel great. Thousands of AM 560 listeners love their Balance of Nature, and you will too. 6 capsules a day provides your body, heart, and mind with over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables. You'll love it, and your body, mind, and heart will thank you for it. Order your fruits and veggie supplements today by calling this number, 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35% off your first set and free shipping when you sign up as a new preferred customer. 800-246-8751. Call now or order online at balanceofnature.com and use coupon code Chicago to save 35%.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel. Home to the biggest shows on TV, like Dennis Prager, weekdays at noon Eastern, followed by Jay and Jordan Sekulow at 2. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free now on Xumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Xumo. AM 560, The Answer.
I really think Brandon Johnson has a problem with female reporters. The poor lady, he's a jacked up question. She was just asking him if it's a good time to go to London.
He doesn't do raggedy. 8:08, we're going to talk to Michael Pack, CEO of Palladium Pictures. He has a new film, Get the Jew, Brooklyn 1991, revisiting Crown Heights. 8:08.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
2 men are killed in a Southside restaurant shooting. The mayor announces new candidates for the Chicago Board of Education. The Dalton mayor makes a late appearance and an early exit from a board meeting. 3 Bears players are now traveling to London. WIND Chicago News Time, 8.
Hurricane Milton has weakened a bit more. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
It is no longer a Category 5, but it potentially could strengthen back to that as it makes its approach to the state of Florida.
Regardless of wind speed, now 145 miles an hour. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis warns Milton could have a historic 10 to 15-foot storm surge from the Tampa area down to Sarasota when it hits, maybe tomorrow. As people evacuate, some gas stations have run dry, but the governor insists
there is no fuel shortage. Fuel continues to arrive.
As people board up and stock up, many grocery stores have bare shelves. This woman says it was chaos where she went.
More packed than usual, so the water aisles, of course, are empty.
Milton's coming less than 2 weeks after Hurricane Helene hit, causing widespread devastation in Florida up to North Carolina. Fox's Madison Scarpinos and Seven Devils.
And officials say that, unfortunately, it's probably going to take months or even years to get back to normal. I mean, major infrastructure was damaged all around the mountain roads here. Crews working to fix roads that floodwaters demolished in some areas.
There is concern debris not yet cleaned up in Florida from Helene could be tossed around by Milton, causing more damage. And amid all that, there's a political battle. Vice President Harris, focusing on storm response, called Governor DeSantis selfish, accusing him of playing politics, not answering her call or replying. DeSantis told Fox he didn't even know she reached out.
She has never called on any of the storms we've had since she's been vice president until apparently now.
Now, Vice President Harris went on CBS 60 Minutes, pressed on her changed positions on several issues and record illegal immigration.
From day one, literally, we have been offering solutions.
Bill Whitaker then asked Harris,
was it a mistake to kind of allow that flood to happen in the first place?
I think the policies that we have been proposing are about fixing a problem, not promoting a problem.
America's listening to Fox News.
"50 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 2 were shot and killed by a restaurant employee in the Wrightwood neighborhood. It happened on Chicago's South Side late last night inside a restaurant in the 7800 block of Southwestern Avenue. The 2 victims, aged 55 and 56, began an argument with a male employee who took out a handgun and fired shots. A 7-year-old child and man seriously wounded, all following a shooting on Chicago's far south side. The 2 victims were inside of a home last night near 116th and Yale when someone drove by in a white sedan and opened fire. The child was hit in the back. The man suffered multiple gunshot wounds. Both remain hospitalized in critical condition. No arrests have been made. Jury selection begins today in the long-awaited racketeering trial of former Illinois House Speaker Democrat Michael Madigan and longtime confidant Michael McClain. And the mayor, Brandon Johnson, proposed 6 controversial appointees to the Chicago Board of Education. The candidates are Olga Batista, Matilda Blaze, Mary Gardner, the Reverend Mitchell Ikena Johnson, Deborah Pope, and Frank Niles Thomas. Johnson says all 6 will go through a vetting process before they are officially seated on the board. Blackhawks begin their 2024-25 campaign for the regular season against Utah tonight. The Bulls open up preseason play when they visit Cleveland. The news, a service of Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies in a capsule. Order online at balanceofnature.com. Use the coupon code Chicago to save 35% as a preferred customer. Hurry, offer ends soon. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
PepsiCo shares are losing ground, though its earnings top Wall Street expectations. That's because it was able to control costs in the quarter. Its revenue declined, and it's lowering its sales forecast. In addition to Pepsi beverages, PepsiCo also makes Frito-Lay, Gatorade, Quaker Oats, and other brands. Small business optimism rose in September from August, though the National Federation of Independent Business says the gauge of uncertainty rose to the worst level ever on record. The upcoming election, inflation, and interest rates are contributing. A stock market rally in China lost steam today after an update from the country's economic planning agency raised questions about whether China will be supporting its economy with more stimulus. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Listen up. I'm talking to those of you who wake up day after day with joint pain in your knees, maybe your shoulder, ouch, maybe your hips. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and let's talk about real, lasting relief. People here in Chicago are reducing the inflammation, getting mobility back, getting their lives back. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cellular therapies. What's that? QC Kinetics uses your own body's healing properties in those achy joints. Cutting-edge treatments that require no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. You know, the choice is yours. You could continue with the steroids and daily medications, pursue surgery and a long recovery, or you could see if you're a candidate for regenerative treatments. Find out with your free consultation at QC Kinetics. New locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Saturday appointments available. You've got nothing to lose. Do it. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Have you noticed all the ads for gold and silver? By now you know if precious metals are right for you. Quite frankly, most major dealers have roughly the same pricing models. Fox Valley Coins offers everything the other large national dealers offer, only with a local, personal touch. Fox Valley Coins will treat you like family. And if you want to stay anonymous, under most circumstances, they don't even need to know your name. Ha! Try that through the mail. When you buy directly from Fox Valley Coins instead of national dealers, you can pick out the actual pieces and they will scientifically analyze the items for authenticity right in front of you. That's a huge advantage. The reason is because 95% of fakes offered are purchased through the mail. Fox Valley Coins buys, sells, and performs appraisals of all precious metals, as well as rare coins and currency. Visit Fox Valley Coins in person, one light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Naperville-Warrenville border. Fox Valley Coins, family integrity for over 43 years.
The socialists who want to move into the White House have a lot of plans for your money. One of them is to control the price of food, and this is just the start. Could 401ks and IRAs be next on their agenda? It might sound far-fetched, but so did price fixing just months ago. Hi, Donald Trump Jr. here. If you've spent decades building your nest egg, you can act now to stop your savings from falling into the hands of the socialists. It's why Americans are turning to gold, the ultimate safe haven in uncertain times. To see how easy it is to diversify your retirement with gold, get a free info kit from my friends at Birch Gold by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. Birch Gold makes it easy to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait any longer. Protect your financial future now. Text PROTECT to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold, the only gold company I trust.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Check if you qualify, almostfreeteeth.com. Right now, it is 90 minutes on the inbound Kennedy O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. You're stuck in Slow and Go Edens Junction all the way to North Avenue. Kennedy outbound, 1 hour back out to the big airport. Stop and slow through the avenues on the inbound Ike. An hour and 20 minutes from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson jam solid on the inbound side of the Stevenson between First Avenue and the Dan Ryan merge. Stevenson outbound, accident, 2 left lanes blocked. It is outbound at Central. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunny skies, a terrific day. High today at 75. Clear tonight, low 51. And then sunny and pleasant for tomorrow and Thursday. High tomorrow afternoon, 73. Thursday's high at 72. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
50 at O'Hare, 50 at Midway, 39 this morning in Aurora. And your next news update is 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The 1-year anniversary of the Hamas terrorist attack against Israel. And what did we hear from our erstwhile political leaders? Well, Kamala Harris, she had sat down for that 60 Minutes interview with Bill Whitaker. Probably a decision she'll live to regret. She had this to say about Israel and the work that the Biden-Harris administration has done over the past year.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
You know, I can't hear that clip enough. I'm just
Can you translate, please?
I want to read it again,
Okay.
just to make sure that people fully internalize. It's a lot to take in. The work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
Wow.
Yeah. That is very dense. She also had this to say about Iran.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands, okay? This attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles. What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
So if you have proof that Iran is building a nuclear weapon, would you take military action?
I'm not going to talk about hypotheticals at this moment.
No, of course not.
No, she wouldn't
that's
talk about like China invades Taiwan. I'm not talking about hypotheticals.
too high level for Bill Whitaker and 60 Minutes audience, obviously.
But she and Biden released billions of dollars in sanctions back to Iran. So,
Yes, they did.
And they used that money to provide the attack, to provide Hamas with weapons that they then went and killed Jewish people on October 7th.
Well, it's a curious strategy to finance your enemy. I've always found that to be very confusing. Number one. Number two, the greatest threat to America. I mean, Iran is a threat. It's a lead state sponsor of terror, but the greatest threat to American hegemony is China, clearly. But nothing is clear to Kamala Harris. Elizabeth Warren issued a statement, Pocahontas, yesterday.
Who cares what she's oh God,
well,
she's high and mighty, so of course she released a statement.
Well, everybody has to chime in, particularly those that need to middle the issue, like Biden and Harris are middling it for their political constituency. It was the same thing that Liz did. She began with a recognition October 7th was the deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust, and expressed sympathy for those who lost their lives and family members of those who lost their lives. Then she got to the point here, the real position, lambasting Netanyahu. And, of course, Harris would not characterize Netanyahu as an ally. Israel's an ally, but the prime minister is not because they don't like the way he's prosecuting the war. Warren writes, instead of securing the release of the hostages, Netanyahu has unleashed unthinkable violence on innocent civilians in Gaza. More than 1 million Palestinians are facing starvation. We see videos of dead children held in the arms of their parents. Violence is escalating throughout the region, including most recently Lebanon, threatening even more human suffering. The cycle of violence won't make anyone safer. The Wall Street Journal ad board opines, the cycle of violence theory of war. If only Israel would stop targeting those trying to kill its citizens, somehow the violence would end. Yeah. Note, too, the passive tense for violence is escalating, including in Lebanon. Who's escalating it? You mean the Iranian-backed terrorist organizations who are forever engaged in violence and the escalation of violence where there is opportunity to kill Jews? For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Michael Pack. You may remember Michael Pack. He was the writer and documentarian who did the Created Equal documentary on Clarence Thomas, which was quite good. He's also the CEO of Palladium Pictures and CEO of the U.S. Agency, and was the CEO of the U.S. Agency for Global Media under Trump. His new film, Get the Jew, Brooklyn 1991, he revisits Crown Heights. We were just talking about race hustlers and Brandon Johnson. Now we have another one to talk about. Of course, the noxious Al Sharpton, one of his great moments in professional race hustling. Michael Pack, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on your show.
So why revisit the Crown Heights riot now?
I think it's a pattern that we've seen repeat itself endlessly, and it's good to study its origins. My company, Palladium Pictures, has formed this partnership with the Wall Street Journal opinion section to do videos on recent events that have been either forgotten or misreported. The left dominates the documentary space, as they do many other areas of the media, and as a result, they tell most of the stories about the recent past. And it's not my belief that they shouldn't. It's my belief that we need to tell the stories that they neglect. This is an example of one that they would rather forget because of its relevance to today.
Well,
you may remember.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. Recount what occurred in that day, or that period in 91.
Well, I do encourage your listeners to actually watch it. It's only 20 minutes, and it's free, even though it's on the Wall Street Journal website. It's on WSJ.com/opinion if you scroll down to the videos, or their YouTube page, youtube.com/@WSJopinion. But let me summarize it so that we can sort of talk about it. It was 1991, hot summer day in Crown Heights, a sort of roughish neighborhood of Queens at that time. Brooklyn at that time, and it was a neighborhood with a small group of Hasidic Jews surrounded by a predominantly black, poor neighborhood. And there was a traffic accident while a group of cars were returning to the Chabad headquarters, and one car hit another car and then careened off that car and hit two young black children, tragically killing one of them. And instead of thinking this was an accident, a whole group of young black men chose to see it as a symbol of Jews have always gotten away with it. Jews did it on purpose, that it wasn't an accident. And they marauded through the streets, and they found another Hasidic man, Yaakov Rosenbaum, and said, "Get the Jew," hence our title, "Get the Jew." And they beat him up and stabbed him, and he died. But the mayor did not choose to end the riot then. The riot went on for 3 days. And the first black mayor of New York, David Dinkins, chose not to end it until he himself was attacked. And then he turned to his deputy police chief, Ray Kelly, who ended it in 3 hours. So I think it's a lesson in, for one thing, equating these two things, an accident and an attempted murder. You see it today in the story you were just telling, how some people in the Democratic Party equate Hamas's attack on Israel with Israel's response. They're not morally equivalent, and that habit, persists. So this pattern of violence, anti-Semitic violence, or indeed any kind of left-wing violence, then the media reports it, which happened in Crown Heights, and then Democratic leadership does nothing. And in the case of David Dinkins, it's not because he was anti-Semitic. He just did not want to offend the left wing of his party. And as you say, Al Sharpton and others have come into the area and whipped up the crowd. We talked to Al Sharpton. He gives his side of the story, and our film attempts to tell the story in a straightforward manner. I'm here expressing my personal opinions, but the documentary itself intends to portray the actual historical events, and your viewers and listeners can make up their own minds.
Can you give us a little bit of what Al Sharpton discussed?
Well, so he did acknowledge that people came in from the outside and whipped up the crowd. He called them, I think, black nationalists. He claimed that he was there just representing the family. and you should watch it. And we have some of his contemporary comments. The different Al Sharpton, the rabble-rouser, the overweight Al Sharpton, who I think was a much more colorful character, actually. So viewers can decide. I mean, it is not Al Sharpton alone. I mean, I believe the responsibility really lies with the political leadership who are responsible for maintaining the peace of the city. And by failing to do this, Mayor Dinkins, it's one of the reasons Mayor Dinkins lost the next election to Rudy Giuliani, who turned the city around. I think a lot of New Yorkers were tired of violence and riots in their street, anti-Semitic or otherwise.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like Fat Al Sharpton better as well. The
over Ozempic.
Well, you talk about the pattern of from the Crown Heights matter repeats itself over the last 30 plus years, and we see it repeating itself on college campuses too. I mean, we have seen that since October 7th of last year. That seems to me like the particular, perhaps the best example of the nexus of that example to the present.
I agree with you completely. It's the same thing. Radical students are violent and chanting from the river to the sea and terrorizing Jewish students, and the media covers it one way, and then the leadership, the presidents of these colleges, can't condemn the violence, as we saw dramatically in the three college presidents that they're hearing. They can't condemn them, and it's not because they're anti-Semitic. It's that they just can't offend their left wing. Obviously, if the violence had been anti-black, anti-gay, they would condemn it quickly, as they should. But this one, they can't. It's the same thing again, and we end the film with another stabbing in Crown Heights by the stabbing of a Hasidic Jew by a young man shouting, "Free Palestine," and "Do you want to die?" So slogans that in 1991 included "Heil Hitler" and "Hitler didn't finish the job" have become "Free Palestine" and "From the river to the sea." But it's the same groups, the same action, it's the same emotion that animates them.
But did you ever think you'd see this in your time, or that you'd feel unsafe as a Jewish person? I mean, anti-Semitic attacks on college campuses, CBS reported up 300%. Fox was saying they're up 500% since last year.
I never thought I would see it. I am Jewish, and I'm pretty shocked. I mean, and I have friends who have children in some of these schools, liberal friends who have been kind of awakened that this is really a problem. I mean, one of the things you saw in Crown Heights that maybe is different now is, so this was an attack on a Hasidic group, Chabad Lubavitch, and a lot of the mainstream Jewish groups said little. The head of the ADL at the time, Abe Foxman, later apologized. But there was this sense that they're not us. They're Hasidic. They wear black hats. They dress like they're in the 18th century. They're not our Jews. This is Crown Heights, Brooklyn. This is never going to happen on the Upper East Side or Upper West Side of Manhattan. But I think they found out in Columbia and other places like that is not so. First they come for Chabad, and then they come for you. And first they come for the Jews, and then they come for other people. That's a big lesson, and I am still shocked. I cannot believe it. I never thought I would see this in my lifetime.
It's interesting. On Columbia, I saw that donations, alumni donations to Columbia are down 29%. Only 29%? That's pretty actually disappointing.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it is. I mean, one of the amazing things about the Crown Heights riot, that our guide, Elliot Kaufman, who's a reporter for the Wall Street Journal, makes the point that in the election, the re-election of Mayor Dinkins, he only lost 3% of the Jewish vote. The vote he lost was in places like Staten Island and the other outer boroughs, where kind of white ethnics just got tired of violence in their city against Jews or otherwise.
Right.
So, yeah, it's down, not down enough, but still from 3% to 30% is, at least, if I may equate those two very different statistics, is a big change. And
that's true.
I have seen more trustees and alumni and contributors to these colleges stand up than I thought likely to. Maybe too few. But it's a wake-up call for some. We'll see if it makes a permanent change. I mean, I think these Ivy League schools think they have a lock on some things, but we'll see.
Well, it's the same thing with the D.C. press corps too. I mean, the press corps, generally speaking, the corporate press has not covered itself in glory over the last year of all that, covering all that has transpired since October 7th.
It certainly hasn't. It certainly hasn't. And I think even just yesterday, I mean, the sort of pro-Hamas, anti-Semitic demonstrations in New York and elsewhere got surprisingly little coverage. I mean, if there had been a Proud Boys demonstration, they would have gotten endless coverage.
Right.
But they really didn't. I mean, someone lit himself on fire here in Washington, D.C., but these are barely stories. And in some ways, Amy, I mean, this is really even worse. People have gotten used to these anti-Semitic chants, and they're not news. Yep. I mean, that's worse than when they were news. So, yeah, the press corps surely hasn't covered itself in glory. That may be a good understatement.
Michael Pack, CEO of Palladium Pictures, also was the CEO of the U.S. Agency for Global Media under Trump. His new film, Get the Jew, Brooklyn 1991, as you said, 20 minutes. It's free, and you can get it at Wall Street Journal, WSJ.com/opinion. Michael Pack, Get the Jew is the film, Brooklyn 1991. Michael Pack, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And you can follow him on Twitter at @MichaelPack_. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Few understand the impact this election may have on their retirement savings. In less than 30 days, our entire economy could face a monumental shift that could destroy a huge amount of value many Americans have stored in their 401ks or IRAs. In times like these, the most trusted store of wealth in human history stands out: physical gold and silver. Many Americans have looked to True Gold Republic for help. They specialize in helping those with a 401k, IRA, or other retirement accounts convert their stocks and bonds into physical gold and silver to protect their hard-earned savings. True Gold is offering listeners a free copy of their Election Gold Protection Kit today. To claim yours, call 800-300-GOLD. This information is free and might very well save your comfortable retirement. By acting before the election, you can still make a tax and penalty-free conversion with the help of True Gold's award-winning team. Call 800-300-GOLD. That's 800-300-GOLD. True Gold Republic is not a financial advisor. Consult with your tax advisor before investing. Call 800-300-GOLD.
If you're waking up day after day with joint pain in your knees, maybe your shoulder, hips, or back, have you tried steroid shots over and over? Daily doses of medication? Well, guess what? Those are just Band-Aids for the pain. Let's talk about real, lasting relief. You know, thousands of patients will tell you it is possible with help from QC Kinetics. People here in Chicago are reducing the inflammation, getting mobility back, and most importantly, getting their lives back. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cellular therapies using your own body's healing properties, concentrated and carefully placed in that achy joint. Yes, it's cutting-edge treatments that require no surgery, no drugs, no downtime, developed by medical professionals and under the leadership of Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup. He's a former orthopedic surgeon and a pioneer in clinical regenerative medicine. Folks, the choice is yours. You can continue with the steroids and daily medications. You could pursue surgery that might not even work and you'd have a long recovery time. Or you could see if you're a candidate for regenerative treatments. Find out with a free consultation at QC Kinetics. They have new locations, don't you know, in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Saturday appointments available. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Jason Zenger, owner of Zenger's Industrial Supply and host of the Making Chips podcast, and a proud customer of Signature Bank. Through rapid growth, acquisitions of competitors, and taking over from the previous generation, Signature Bank was there with us every step of the way. Recently, the team introduced us to FinRails AP, their proprietary system for accounts payable automation. Not only did FinRails AP help us to reduce costs and create efficiencies, but it also helped minimize fraud risk. Now, our company can invest time into what we do best, supplying industrial products, metalworking tooling, contractor tools, and safety supplies to those who make, build, and create great things for our country.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers. This one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
Roofs you can rely on.
Because you can. Here's the number to call.
847-623-1625.
And get the info at waukeganroofing.com. waukeganroofing.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
So, Governor DeSantis responded to Kamala's contention that him not returning her calls to talk about Hurricane Milton was selfish and irresponsible, that he's playing political games. Here's what DeSantis had to say in response on Fox and Friends this morning.
Well, I think she should look in the mirror. We've been on an emergency footing for 2 weeks straight, round the clock, 24/7. We've been working, my office, our Division of Emergency Management, helping people prepare for Hurricane Helene, helping effectuate rescues of people after Hurricane Helene, helping people pick up the pieces of their lives after Helene, and then have to also turn around and prepare for major impacts and maybe even more impacts from Hurricane Milton, be able to have rescue personnel ready to help people, and then, of course, help with the power restoration, all these things to do. So that's been my sole focus. My focus has not been on dealing with Kamala Harris. I saw the news report. I didn't know she tried to contact me. But I'd also say it's not about you, Kamala. Right. It's about the people of Florida. My focus is exactly where it should be. And I can tell you this. I've worked on these hurricanes under both President Trump and President Biden. Neither of them ever tried to politicize it. She has never called on any of the storms we've had since she's been vice president until apparently now. Why all of a sudden is she trying to parachute in and inject herself when she's never shown any interest in the past? We know it's because of politics. We know it's because of her campaign. I have zero time to entertain these political games. We're going to continue to do what we need to do to prepare and respond to what may be one of the most damaging storms in the history of the United States. So she says focusing on protecting your people is selfish. I think she ought to look in the mirror.
Zing.
Ooh.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
1 for DeSantis, 0 for Harris.
By the way, it just seems to me somebody might want to remind her that she's the vice president still. And that guy whose mug belongs on Mount Rushmore, we're told, is still the president. So DeSantis has talked to the president, and he's getting or what he needs, or at least he's making requests for what he wants and needs to the president. And so why would he need to talk to her? Why does anybody really?
Exactly. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, we'll talk polling. Kyle Kondik is the managing director of Larry Sabato's Crystal Ball and University of Virginia Center for Politics Director of Comms. We'll talk polling and what it looks like in the battleground states from this polling outfit's perspective at 8:38.
Now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
8:34, Hezbollah's acting leader says even more Israelis are targeted to be displaced as the militant group extends its rocket fire deeper into Israel. Milton continues rolling toward the west coast of Florida. Expected landfall late tomorrow, early Thursday. National Hurricane Center Director Michael Brennan.
Well, it's probably going to fluctuate in intensity. These powerful hurricanes tend to go through these eyewall replacement cycles where it'll weaken, and then if it completes the cycle, it can re-intensify, and during that time, the storm grows larger as well.
Devastating storm surge of up to 10 to 15 feet wherever Milton makes landfall on Florida's west coast. Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis says simply, Milton is a monster.
Milton has strengthened not just into a major hurricane, but a Category 5 hurricane, and not just a Category 5 hurricane, but a very strong 175 mile per hour sustained wind Category 5 hurricane.
More than 500,000 people alone in Pinellas County are being told to mandatorily evacuate.
More than half the county are required to evacuate. And so at 7 p.m. tonight, all of the bridges accessing the barrier islands, and that is everything from Dunedin Causeway down to the Pinellas Bayway, will shut down.
The Supreme Court is set to review an updated version of the Biden administration's ghost gun ban. The kits currently can be assembled into weapons without being traced back through serial numbers. The White House wants the kits regulated. 2 men were shot and killed by a restaurant employee in the Wrightwood neighborhood on Chicago's South Side late last night. It took place in the 7800 block of Southwestern. 2 victims, ages 55 and 56, began an argument with a male employee who took out a handgun and fired shots. A 7-year-old child is clinging to life. Another man critically wounded following a shooting on the far south side near 116th and Yale last night. The child was hit in the back. The man suffered multiple gunshot wounds. Again, both remain hospitalized this morning. Blackhawks begin their regular NHL campaign with a game against Utah tonight, while the Bulls open up preseason play when they visit the Cavaliers. The Bears will be without safety Jaquan Brisker. He has a concussion and will not travel with the team to London to take on Jacksonville. The news service of Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies in a capsule. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35% as a preferred customer. Hurry, offer ends soon. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Overhead Door, healthinsurancementors.com, Trinity School of Natural Health, and by Blue Star Security.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. And maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for health care can save many families up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. See what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. 844-41-BIBLE.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
8:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. This update is service of Allstate. Wish you could save on home insurance? Well, with Allstate, you could easily save and get quality protection. It's a win-win. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. The Edens jammed up Elston to Montrose, 26 from Lake Cook Road into the junction, while O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange will cost you just about 90 minutes. And as you travel, you'll find delays from the Edens Junction all the way to Division. Kennedy outbound, 49 back out to the big airport. On the Ike, accident right shoulder at Harlem Avenue, and delays on the Stevenson. You're jammed up on the inbound ramp to the Dan Ryan, and an accident on the outbound Stevenson left shoulder between Ashland and Central. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Plenty of sunshine today, high 75. Clear and 51 overnight. Another sunny day tomorrow, high 72. Currently, 52 at O'Hare, 51 at Midway, 44 in Joliet. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The dark art of polling, and what we can say with any degree of confidence about the presidential race, as well as, of course, the down-ballot races that will determine control of the Senate and the House. Let's get right to it with Kyle Kondik. He's managing editor of Larry Sabato's Crystal Ball and University of Virginia Center for Politics Director of Communications. Kyle, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
So, all right. So, where do you think things stand, and why should we believe you?
Well, I don't know if you should or you shouldn't, but
yeah, right.
Look, I mean, I think the race appears to be very close. I think it does make sense that that's the position we're in. Donald Trump's been on the ballot for this is the third straight time. Obviously, his Democratic opponents have changed, but he's the constant. Trump lost a very close race in 2016, or Trump won a very close race in 2016. He lost a very close race in 2020. You're going to see little changes here and there in terms of how different demographic groups vote and in how different states vote. But I think you'd expect there to be a decent amount of continuity. The difference between 2024 in the polls and 2020 and 2016 is that the polls are generally showing a pretty close race this time. They often didn't in 2016 and 2020, particularly 2020. To me, the polls kind of make sense as to where they're at right now. But we also don't, you don't know in advance what sort of error there's going to be and whether there's an error in favor of one candidate or the other.
This piece by Nate Cohen at the New York Times about polling methodology is getting a lot of play, a lot of discussion. I wonder if you read that, just talking about weighting in terms of polling and or not doing so, and the idea that it sort of creates two different regimes of polls.
Yeah, I did, and one of the things that he talks about is whether pollsters will to recall the presidential vote in 2020. So, pollsters wait on all sorts of demographics to get to make the sample kind of look like what they expect the electorate to look like. Right. So, if you get too many college-educated respondents, which is a common thing in polling, then you sort of weight down the college-educated respondents and you weight up the non-college-educated respondents. And the same thing would be happening on recalled vote choice. One of the challenges, and Cohn talks about this, and this is something I've just heard for years about recalled vote choice, is that people sometimes don't really remember who they voted for, or there can almost sometimes be a bias the person who won, and more people will recall voting for the winner than actually voted for them at the time. I mean, again, for really plugged in political people, it would be, you'd think it'd be ridiculous to remember who you voted for. But for a lot of people who aren't really maybe following it as closely or aren't as obsessed with it, maybe they wouldn't recall it correctly. So that's just one of the challenges. Now, he went through whether, you do weight by past vote or you don't weight by past vote. And to me, it didn't really change the outlook of the election all that much. It wasn't like one way of doing it showed, Trump winning and one way showed Harris winning. They both kind of showed a pretty close race.
And is that, I mean, in terms of if you were handicapping, Polymarket and these betting sites, I mean, who do you think has the advantage right now? If you look at Trump's, numbers in the battleground states, he's, basically Kamala is about where Hillary was in 2016, and we know that how that turned out. So he's running well ahead of where he was against Biden 4 years ago, and about where he was against Hillary, it seems to me. And so, does that mean advantage Trump?
I mean, look, if you just take the polls at face value, you get Harris leading by tiny amounts in the northern battlegrounds, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, again, just by a hair in some of these places, and Harris leading in Nevada. And then you get Trump leading in some of the Sun Belt states, so like Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina. You take it at face value, maybe you give it a tiny little edge to Harris, but these leads are so small that I don't think either of them are really ahead. One difference between 2016 and now is that there are just fewer undecideds. The Clinton-Trump race was sort of more fluid in terms of the polling.
Yeah.
You also had a bunch of people saying they were voting third party, and a lot of those people came home. It seems like there was a break toward Trump at the end. There may be a break one way or the other, although there are so few undecideds that that could tip the election, but it's honestly a small number of people as reflected in polls.
Well, I think all eyes will be in Pennsylvania. How much time have you spent there polling?
So look, we don't, I look at a lot of polls. We don't conduct polls really at the Center for Politics. There is I think the balance of the data, again, you could basically say that it's dead tied. Maybe you'd give a little hair to Harris. But there are a lot of, and the other thing about Pennsylvania is that I could imagine Harris winning it but still losing the election. I think if Trump wins Pennsylvania, he's going to win because Harris probably needs all three of those northern battlegrounds. Trump doesn't necessarily need that as so long as he holds up in the Sun Belt.
The underlying numbers, though, are a bit confusing to me because, we see in a lot of the polling Trump doubling right now his percentage of the black vote compared to what he got in 2020. He's doing much better with the Latino vote than he did in 2020. His lead among non-college educated, the so-called working class voters, is bigger than it was certainly bigger than it was against Biden, and that's 60% of the likely voters. So I don't see how he's slightly down.
I think a lot of the stuff that's going on in the crosstabs of these polls is not really believable. I think that, I don't, maybe Trump will improve marginally with black voters. I don't necessarily expect there to be some sort of big shift. I would also say that there are certain aspects of the polls that are probably artificially good for Harris. Like she's sometimes winning like 65 plus voters. I don't necessarily expect that to happen. So, part of what's going on with some of this weighting we talked about is that it can sort of make the internals of the crosstabs of the polls maybe look a little screwy. And that might be what's going on. And again, it maybe benefits Trump with certain subgroups, but it also probably benefits Harris.
And you wrote for over at centerforpolitics.org, your place, about polling error in 2016 to 2020, and you raised Wisconsin in particular. Why?
Wisconsin had in terms of being off from the eventual margin, basically a 7-point error in favor of Democrats in both 2016 and 2020. And, one of the themes of this year was the Democrats holding up better in Wisconsin than they were in many other states. And when you think about the polling error from last time, you think, boy, it leads you to question that. Now, I will say that the polls in Wisconsin are, basically very close at this point. So I wouldn't expect some sort of big error like that. And some of the Wisconsin pollsters are talking about ways they're trying to basically better capture the kind of white rural vote in that state that tends to be very, very Republican leaning. But yeah, you look at what happened in 2016 and 2020, and it should give you a little bit of caution about the polls. But, back in 2012, Obama was the one who was underestimated in the polls. So these things do change over time in terms of, whether there's a consistent polling error one way or the other.
What's your handle for control of the House and Senate?
My guess is that the House would probably break the way of the presidential, although you could imagine sort of a split outcome because both of them are very close and competitive. We've had tiny House majorities the last two elections, 222 seats for the winning side. I could imagine something like that or even closer. I think the Republicans look pretty decent in the Senate. They've got a very good map. they're guaranteed to flip West Virginia. They already had 49 seats going into this election. They're going to win West Virginia. They're favored in Montana. That would be 51 right there, assuming they don't lose any of their current seats. And I think they're still favored in all their current seats. So, there are a number of other close races across the country, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin to some degree. But in terms of actually just getting the majority, Republicans to me have a pretty clear path to at least 51, and that gets them the majority whether they win the presidency or not.
When it comes to like the issue matrix, I mean, as you said, sort of at the outset, I mean, this is a turnout game. You've got to turn your base out, a base plus election, basically. But I'm just wondering, like, for the bread and butter issues of the respective sides with their respective desired constituencies or available constituencies, who has got the advantage there in terms of intensity? Like, is it Trump with the border, for example, maybe the border and inflation, or is it Kamala Harris with abortion and, saving our democracy?
I think different polls sort of tell different stories about this and sort of overall motivation level of the two parties. As we get more data about like early and absentee voting in certain states, maybe that'll give a little bit of help flesh out maybe what's going on here. The economy / inflation typically ranks as the top issue. Trump generally has an advantage on those kinds of issues, but maybe not quite as strong as they used to be. And there's this interesting dynamic too of there's clearly people out there who have an unfavorable view of Trump but plan to vote for him. But also there are people who retrospectively say that they think Trump did a good job or that they approved of his job performance, but they're not going to vote for him. So his actual, range of support is like, favorability is the floor and the retroactive approval is the ceiling. And that's like, that gets you between like 43% and 51%. I don't know that tells you all that much, but it is an interesting dynamic of people who maybe don't like Trump but want to vote for him, and they approve of Trump but they don't want to vote for him. It's just an interesting dynamic that we see in a lot of these polls.
Kyle Kondik, managing editor of Sabato's Crystal Ball and University of Virginia Center for Politics, director of communications. Kyle, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Oh, I have a friend, Julia, who has taken a Balance of Nature now for quite some time. And she said, oh, Becky, ask your doctor about taking Balance of Nature. So I talked to my doctor about it, and she said, oh, try it.
Balance of Nature is becoming pretty important out there to a lot of people. And when I first started, I was really impressed. I'm a healthcare professional, trained as a pharmacist. So anything that's natural, I like. And so it made a lot of sense.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Dan Proft here for my friends at Low T Center. If you're frequently tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait, find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's a simple test, and with an on-site lab, you get your results back right there. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. Their physicians specialize in treating low T with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have more than a decade of experience helping patients, and, this is super important, their personal treatment plans are optimized for each patient. They're not just the basic standard treatments. So, for established patients, they offer a convenient physician-monitored at-home treatment plan that ships directly to your home each month, so there's no need to come in for weekly visits. And at Low T Center, you can get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So, get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to do so and book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling,
renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, Dan, a lot of people still worried about you. This Hurricane Milton was a 4, then a 5, now back down to a 4.
Yeah, it's not good.
Well, John Morales, who works for the NBC station in Miami, he's like our version of Brant Miller, been around for a long time. He started crying on the air yesterday as it upgraded to a Hurricane 5.
It has dropped 50 millibars in 10 hours. I apologize. This is just horrific.
There's no crying in weather.
The maximum sustained winds are 160 miles per hour. And it is just gaining strength in the Gulf of Mexico, where you can imagine the winds, the seas are just so incredibly, incredibly hot. Record hot, as you might imagine. You know what's driving that. I don't need to tell you. Global warming, climate change.
You just told me.
Leading to this and becoming an increasing threat for Yucatan, including Merida and Progreso and other areas.
Well, his waterworks are certainly not going to help. We're getting enough rain as it is.
So what are you doing to prepare? People keep texting in our station.
By the way, just as an aside, this global warming. So I know this is an anomalous hurricane, coming from Mexico, coming from the east like it is, but it has happened before. So please, with your climate change, please, with your government conspiracy theories, just stop. You have somebody who writes about this quite often, actually did the work of looking this up, and of course we don't have records going back to the beginning of time.
No.
We didn't have the measuring tools. Chris Martz is his name. He points out, I took a look at NOAA's database. I found that since 1851, when reliable data collection began, there have been 14 hurricane formations in the Gulf of Mexico that then tracked eastward and made landfall in Florida, one as recently as 1998. So it is unusual, but it does happen. Anyway, what am I doing? I wish I could get down there and lash myself to my house like Captain Ahab, because that's what I want to do, and I'll go down with it. But I'm having all my possessions, everything that's not nailed down, moved out of there and staged somewhere else, and sealing it up the best we can, and hoping for mercy for Milton. What else can you do?
Okay. All right. Well, a lot of people are praying for you here at the station. You and everyone else there. The Tampa Bay mayor, by the way, said, "Get out or you're going to die."
It's a nice message.
Yeah, that's a Merry Christmas.